Paul Otavina is at first base. He's in the number 7 spot in the batting lineup. Eric Almont is the shortstop and hitting 8th, and Pascual Matos is catching and hitting 9th. Defensively, the Lynx have an outfield of Brad Wilkerson in left, Peter Bergeron in center, and Mark Smith in right field. In the infield, it's Scott Zeck at third base. The shortstop is Jamie Carroll. At second base, it's Henry Mateo, and at first, Talmadge Nunari. And Brian Schneider is catching for Hideki Irabu. And you see the numbers on Hideki Irabu, an 0-1 record, a 1.50 ERA at the AAA level this year. As we were talking with Stan Huff before the game, the word that he used to describe Hideki Irabu's last start with the Lynx last week was outstanding.
Yeah, Hideki Irabu looked very good against the Columbus Clippers back on May the 11th. 6 innings, 6 hits, 2 runs, one of which was earned. So I'm sure Stan Huff and Randy St. Clair will be hoping for a similar effort from Hideki Irabu tonight.
Irabu with a 2-5 record and a 7.24 ERA with Montreal in 2000. He was picked up by the Expos on December 22nd, 1999 in a trade with the Yankees. That was one of the first moves that was made by the new Expos owner at the time, Jeffrey Loria, as, let's face it, the guy was a Yankees fan, and the first move that he made was to bring over a former Yankees pitcher to the Expos in a trade that sent Jake Westbrook, Ted Lilly, who at the time was a member of the Ottawa Lynx, and Christian Parker to the Yankees.
Yeah, it was a very interesting trade at the time because I think Expos fans had been used to the deals being done the other way around, where they were the ones acquiring the prospects and giving away the veteran major league talent. So Hideki Irabu unfortunately hasn't panned out, ran into some injury problems last year, and that's why he's on the mound right now with Ottawa. He had tendonitis not only in his knee but in his elbow as well, and that's why he had to shut his 2000 campaign down early, and the Expos, of course, are hoping that he can get back on track this year.
A little bit of drizzle as we get ready to start the game here at Jet Forum Park. Lynx have not had too much trouble with the weather at the start of this year. Only one rainout so far at Jet Forum Park this season. And we certainly hope that we will not be interrupted by any precipitation tonight as Irabu continues his warm-up pitches to Brian Schneider. Hideki Irabu pitching tonight. It's a bit of a treat for Lynx fans who have turned out tonight or who are watching the game with us on Rogers Television, because Irabu was scheduled to start a couple of nights ago, but because of a rain delay after Ottawa batted in the top of the first inning, this was in Toledo, I believe.
Yeah, Toledo on Wednesday night.
Because of a rain delay, the Lynx decided not to have Irabu pitch, and so they rescheduled his start for tonight's game instead, at home instead of on the road. Here's Donzel McDonald to lead off the ball game. Lynx with a record of 25-18, Columbus 23-18. First pitch low and in, ball 1, and we are underway at Jet Forum Park. Josh Bennett, the home plate umpire, making the call. Troy Blades is at first, Andy Shultz at third. 2 balls and no strikes to Donzel McDonald. McDonald hitting .293. And there's a called strike, and it's 2-1.
We mentioned in the opening, Mark, that Hideki Irabu looking at about 100 pitches tonight, and I know we asked Stan Huff how many innings that can be, and he mentioned, that really depends on the pitcher. So we probably will see Hideki Irabu for, I would say, in the neighborhood of 6 innings tonight, depending on how he economizes his pitches.
Yeah, 100 pitches should be able to take you through to somewhere between the 5th and 7th innings, depending on whether you get in some trouble or whether you're getting everybody out. There is ball 4 to McDonald, so it's a leadoff walk. And Irabu not having the stuff that he wanted in the first batter of the game. McDonald aboard, and Kerry Bridges will come to the plate. Kerry Bridges, of course, with the Ottawa Lynx last season, and was even a guest when he was on the disabled list. He hurt his arm and joined us up here in the broadcast booth on Rogers Television.
Joined us or joined you? I believe I was bumped out of the booth for Kerry Bridges last year.
Actually, I believe that was a night that there was one night that you were unable to make it. That might have been the night that he was here.
Of course, Kerry Bridges last year, an all-star representative for the Ottawa Lynx before he had the hand injury, which you mentioned, and was hitting around .330 at the time.
Squares to bunt, and then takes a strike. A bit of a late call from Josh Bennett, but it is a called strike, and it's 0-1 to Kerry Bridges. Donzel McDonald with good speed. He has 7 stolen bases so far this year and has yet to be caught. Has a big lead at first base with Nunari holding him on. He's off and running. Bridges slashes one into center field. It's a base hit. McDonald will advance to third. So the hit and run play on. And over to third goes McDonald, a single for Kerry Bridges.
Yeah, that's your classic hit and run play where you got a guy with the speed of Donzel McDonald on base and a guy like Kerry Bridges, who's obviously a good contact hitter. That's why he's in the 2 spot, and he's able to move the runner all the way over to third. And now the Clippers have something going here in the first inning with nobody out.
First and third for Mike Frank. Frank batting at .321, 2 home runs, 12 runs batted in. Ball 1 to Mike Frank. So not a good start for Hideki Arabu. And he'll now face the number 3, 4, and 5 hitters. Shane Spencer is on deck. Former Yankee playoff hero. 2 balls and no strikes. And then after Shane Spencer, it's Henry Rodriguez, former Expo slugger. Kerry Bridges off and running. Schneider's throw down to second is not in time, and it's a stolen base for Kerry Bridges, and that puts runners at second and third now with nobody out.
I think Kerry Bridges got an excellent jump there on Hideki Arabu, and like you mentioned now, runners on second and third, and Hideki Arabu has not shown at all through the first 3 hitters that he can throw the ball over the plate, so tough situation for him to start off with here.
2 balls and a strike. Fouled back to the screen. Here's a good look at Mike Frank. Time called at home plate. Lynx and the Clippers were playing in Columbus last week. And there's been a lot of player movement recently. The Lynx had a pretty consistent lineup through the course of the first month of the season. But with some changes up in Montreal, there have been some moves back and forth. Frank slashing that one foul and out of play over behind third base.
Yeah, starting in the early part of May, we've seen guys like Curtis Pride and Ryan Miner and Tomas De La Rosa and a couple of pitchers, even out of the Lynx bullpen, Bob Scanlon and Felipe Lira, make their way up to Ottawa. So, like you mentioned, the Lynx were very consistent roster-wise in April. They won 14 ball games, and then in May, I'll give Stan Huff credit, though, because this team has had a little bit of a makeover, and yet they're still able to win on a consistent basis.
2-2 pitch, chopped on the ground. That's a foul ball. And despite the fact that there have been some players like, as you mentioned, Ryan Miner going up to the big league club, there is still some depth on this Ottawa Lynx club. Brad Wilkerson coming off the disabled list on May the 11th. So a guy who can step into the outfield on an everyday basis for the Lynx, even without Ryan Miner there. And a pretty solid bat to have in the lineup for Stan Huff.
Yeah, Brad Wilkerson was very impressive, I thought, with the Ottawa Lynx last season when he was here for about 40 games in the second half of the year and had off-season shoulder surgery. And so, like you mentioned, a great guy to have to just be able to step in there when you lose a guy like Ryan Miner up to the major leagues.
Still 2-2 on Mike Frank with runners at second and third. Over to the right side, fielded by Nunari. Arabu not covering. And they have 2 runners at third base now. The Clippers have a guy caught in a rundown, Kerry Bridges, between second and third. Bridges was advancing to third on that play, but McDonald was not going home. Talmadge Nunari fielding that ball. He had no play at first base because Arabu was not covering, but As it turns out, the Lynx get an out anyway because of a bad base running mistake by Kerry Bridges.
Well, two mental errors I thought on that play. One from Hideki Arabu. I think anytime a ball's hit to the right side of the infield, the pitcher's got to get over to first base. And two, as you'll see on the replay, Kerry Bridges with a mental mistake because he should have been looking at the lead runner, Donzel McDonald. There you see the ball hit the right side of the infield. Arabu doesn't go over. Naneri, realizing he has no play at first, and he's got Kerry Bridges hung up. So a mental mistake by Kerry Bridges, and fortunately for the Ottawa Lynx, they don't give up any runs on the play.
A throw to first by Hideki Arabu, and getting back in there is Mike Frank. Shane Spencer is the batter now. Spencer hitting .224. A home run and 6 runs batted in. First and third, one away. Another toss to first. For a moment there, Kerry Bridges and Donzel McDonald were both standing on third base, and it was almost as though they were hoping no one would notice. Pitch is up high, a fastball. 2-0. It's being scored a base hit for Mike Frank, an infield single. Second hit of the inning for the Clippers. The 2-0 pitch. Hit the other way and foul down the right field line.
Shane Spencer and Hideki Arabu, of course, teammates at one time with the New York Yankees back in 1998 when Spencer had that magical run in September of 1998 with the Yankees, and Arabu was a member of the Yankees rotation. Both of them were members of that World Series team. Defeated the Padres in 4 games.
That's in the air over towards the Columbus bullpen, and it's out of play. That really was a magical September for Shane Spencer. But now having to work his way back to the major leagues. You'll remember that he came up towards the end of the year after 9 years in the minor leagues, and then played a key role with the Yankees in the stretch run. There's a swing and a miss on a breaking pitch, and Spencer goes down on strikes. 2 down in the first inning. Great pitch from Arabu.
Excellent breaking pitch from Hideki Arabu. As you see, he obviously had Shane Spencer mistimed on that pitch. So now Hideki Arabu might be able to come out of this inning unscathed after looking shaky in the first couple of hitters. Take a look at the replay here. There you see the tight spin on the breaking pitch, and he fools Spencer for the second out.
Here's Henry Rodriguez, the former Expo. Takes one high and outside, ball 1. Rodriguez, of course, with Montreal. In the 95, 96, and 97 seasons. Hit 36 home runs for the Expos, drove in 103 runs in 96. And had everybody in Montreal buying O. Henry chocolate bars to bring to the Big O.
When Henry Rodriguez was traded to the Expos from the Dodgers, Joey Eishen, who's actually a member of the Ottawa Lynx right now, was sent the other way with, I believe, outfielder Roberto Kelly in the trade just prior to the start of the 95 season.
It was actually a couple months into the 95 season. And Roberto Kelly I remember perhaps sometime last year doing an interview about the many different teams that he played for in his long major league career, and mentioned the fact that the Expos represented the briefest stint in his career. They've just called a balk on Irabu, and that is going to score a run for the Clippers here in the first inning.
And I think Stan Huff is going to come out here and maybe protest as to why that balk was called.
There's Donzel McDonald going into the dugout, coming home to score on the balk by Irabu. And Stan Huff having an animated conversation with Josh Bennett, the home plate umpire. Mike Frank goes down to second on that play. So just when it was starting to look better for Irabu, he gets called on the balk. And that came shortly after he had tried one of those fake to third, throw to first kind of maneuvers that did not work. So now a runner at second, a run in, 2 down, and a 2-1 count on Rodriguez. Pops it up. This is sky high in shallow left field. Wilkerson is there, puts it away, and that's out number 3. So a long inning for Irabu, and the Clippers get a run as it comes home on a balk. 1-0 as we head to the...
Whatever your musical taste, Front Row Center will have what you love. This season, FRC has all sorts of performances from reggae to blues. Find out what's playing this week. Schedules can be found at www.rogerstelevision22.com.
Hi there, I'm Jamie Ray Gomes. Join us Monday nights at 9 o'clock for Municipal Hotline, where we ask you to join us with your phone calls in discussing local matters. Municipal Hotline here on Rogers Television.
With so many things to do and places to go in the capital, we understand the need for a little guidance. We're The Ticket. We're Ottawa's only arts and entertainment program, and we're here every week. Convenient, wouldn't you say?
Hey, it's Mahler and Rush here with the XFM New Rock 22 on Rogers Television. And you know what the best part about doing this countdown is?
What's that?
Free balloons for the kids.
I don't get balloons. Oh, I guess I'm not a kid.
Exactly. But for all those kids watching right now, free balloons.
There's a look at the starting lineup for the Ottawa Lynx, facing Adrian Hernandez. Peter Bergeron is in center field and leading things off for the Lynx. Henry Mateo hitting second and playing second base. Brad Wilkerson into the lineup in left field and batting third. Mark Smith is batting cleanup. He's in right field. Talmadge Nuneri is at first base and hitting fifth. Brian Schneider catching and batting sixth. The DH, Dan McKinley, who is on a bit of a tear for the Lynx, is in the number 7 spot in the order. The shortstop, Jamie Carroll, hitting 8th, and Scott Zeck is playing third base and hitting 9th. Defensively for the Columbus Clippers, it's Spencer in left, McDonald in center, and Frank in right field. It's Seaball at third, Almont at short, Kerry Bridges at second, Otavina is at first base, and Pascual Matos is behind the plate. And Adrian Hernandez is on the mound with a 4-1 record and a 2.76 ERA. No relation to either Levon or Orlando.
Well, no relation, but certainly a resemblance when you look on the mound. Adrian Hernandez, as you take a look at him warming up there, a very exaggerated way of throwing the baseball at the high leg kick, and uses a variety of different arm angles, I think, to keep batters honest, and that's something that Orlando Hernandez uses as well.
And they do call Adrian Hernandez El Duquecito. Not El Duque.
El Duquecito.
Yes. Because of his resemblance to El Duque. So here's Peter Bergeron, who started the year with the Expos, was their opening day center fielder, but did not have a lot of success at the plate with Montreal, and so finds himself trying to work things back into shape at the plate in AAA with the Ottawa Lynx. And so far, it has not been going especially well for Peter Bergeron. His numbers, 173 average, no home runs, 1 run batted in.
And that's over 20 games now with the Ottawa Lynx. So Peter Bergeron's struggles aren't just a 5 or 6 game batting slump. This is something that's been prolonged. And even if you can look back at last year, his season in Montreal, it wasn't particularly productive offensively. So the Expos figured this might be the best way to get Peter on track.
A ground ball to first, fielded by Otavina, and Bergeron is out. And of course, here at the AAA level, even with a 173 batting average, the Expos organization can put Peter Bergeron into the game every day on a leadoff basis as he grounds out here to first base. They can put him into that leadoff spot every game, which they cannot do at the major league level with so much at stake in Montreal. They cannot have him batting in the 100s and playing every day. But here they can, so that he has time to improve his game. He's still a young guy, and he will have a chance to get back up to Montreal. Henry Mateo, the batter, squares to bunt and then takes one inside, a fastball, 1-0 to Mateo.
Well, we've seen that with the Lynx, or the Expos rather, in the last couple of years. In 1999, they sent Brad Fulmer down to work on his game, and last year we saw Michael Barrett come down to work on his game. And so the Expos have the luxury of sending a guy down to Ottawa, like you mentioned, trying to work out of his groove. And in Brad Fulmer's case in particular, that really worked out. Brad Fulmer has gone on and is now a very productive major league player with the Toronto Blue Jays.
To deep right field, way back, and it's off the wall. Mateo is on to second. He is going to try for third. Here comes the throw. There will not be a play. It is a triple for Henry Mateo with one out here in the first inning.
Well, Henry Mateo, certainly not a guy known for his power, but on that particular play, he looked very good. As you take a look at the replay here, the pitch from Hernandez looked like a off-speed pitch or a breaking ball, and Mateo pulls it down to right field and didn't miss by much, Mark, of taking that out of the ballpark. And with his wheels, Henry Mateo was able to make it into third base, no problem.
Managed to hang on to his helmet for quite a while there with it almost falling off.
Yeah, for the most part.
Brad Wilkerson, with Columbus leading 1-0, they will bring the infield in here in the first inning with only one out. An RBI opportunity for Brad Wilkerson. An off-speed pitch and a called strike. Wilkerson hitting at 200. This is his 8th game for the Ottawa Lynx. He is 5 for 25. A home run, 3 runs batted in. You see that high leg kick, and Hernandez delivers outside, 1-1.
You see with Wilkerson, you mentioned he has 5 hits in 7 games. He actually has a single hit in 5 different games, so he's hit safely in 5 of 7 games for the Lynx. So while he's only hitting 200, he has been able to get on base at least once per ball game.
Wilkerson, a highly regarded prospect in the Expos organization. Like Peter Bergeron, he is just 23 years of age.
And part of Team USA's gold medal winning squad down at the Sydney Olympics last year.
He started in all 9 games for the Americans at the Olympics. In the dirt, but recovered quickly by the catcher Matos. So holding at third is Henry Mateo.
I think one thing last year when we were doing the games and watching Brad Wilkerson, I think one thing we were both impressed by was his eye at the plate for somebody who's 22, 23 years old. To have that kind of eye, and he had a great on-base percentage, and he's also a good doubles hitter. I mean, he had, I think it was in the neighborhood of 30 doubles down in Double-A in pretty shortened time down at Harrisburg last year.
That's right. Before he came up to the Lynx, he had 36 doubles in 66 games. There's a called strike, 3 balls and 2 strikes now to Brad Wilkerson. So if he'd stayed at Double-A all last year, which was not very probable, he might have had 75 doubles. The payoff pitch is high and outside, and it's a walk to Brad Wilkerson. And that'll bring up Mark Smith. Here's Wilkerson at first base. And now the Clippers infield will move to double play depth. They'll try and turn 2 to get out of the inning. Mark Smith hitting at 207. One of the things that Kyle Bostwick and Ray Pecor discussed with the Montreal Expos before renewing their agreement with the Expos to remain as Montreal's AAA franchise was the caliber of talent that the Lynx have had in the past few years. And the Expos made a commitment that they were going to bring better talent to the AAA level this year and add some experience to the Ottawa Lynx, and they have done that. And Mark Smith is one of the players that fits into that category.
Yeah, in years past, I think the Lynx only maybe had one veteran player. Like I look back at last year, and there was only Patrick Lennon. Whereas this season, you can look at a guy like when they brought in Ryan Miner, Curtis Pride, even bringing him back, Mark Smith, and especially the pitching staff. I thought by bringing Bob Scanlon, Bobby Munoz, and Terry Burrows, although he's since been released, bringing 5 or 6 veteran guys into a AAA ball club really helps the younger guys progress, but it also helps you win on an everyday basis, which is something that's difficult to do when you're out there with 23 and 22-year-old players every night.
Rob Sasser, another guy who's not in the lineup tonight, but is a guy who has some professional baseball experience, who was added in the offseason. But Lynx fans may remember Mark Smith from his days with the Rochester Red Wings, even going back to the Lynx' first season when they played Rochester in the opening round of the playoffs. Mark Smith was a member of the Red Wings back in 93, 94, and 95. A base hit into left field, and that'll score a run. An RBI single for Mark Smith that brings home Henry Mateo. Wilkerson will stop at second, and we're tied at 1 here in the bottom of the first inning.
Well, that's RBI number 17 for Mark Smith. That ranks second on the club. Take a look at the replay. Pitch that basically Mark Smith just lined into left field, just beyond the reach of the shortstop, Eric Almont. So Ottawa Lynx have tied this game up rather quickly. I think we built this as a pitching duel, Mark, did we?
Yeah, both pitchers are in trouble early in this ball game. Here's Talmadge Nunari, the first baseman in the number 5 spot of the order. And with 1 away, he has runners at first and second. Hits it the other way into the gap in left center field. On the run is Spencer. He's not going to get to it. Hits the track and then the wall. Coming home to score is Wilkerson. Smith is being waved. Here comes the throw. Smith with the head first slide. He scores. It's a 2-run double for Talmadge Nunari, and the Lynx take a 3-1 lead.
Well, an excellent piece of hitting by Talmadge Nunari, a guy that has been struggling at the plate, only hitting .227 coming into this game, but there's RBI 17 and 18 for Nunari as you take a look at the replay here. And he basically just goes the other way with that pitch, and Shane Spencer was not able to catch up with it in left field. And the Ottawa Lynx are up ahead 3-1 in this first inning.
And that creates a mound conference for the Clippers. The catcher Matos out there to talk to Hernandez. Brian Schneider will be the batter. Schneider hitting .259 and one of the higher batting averages on a Lynx club that has not been doing well at the plate. It really has been the pitching that has carried the Lynx through the first 6 weeks of the season. Yeah, the Ottawa Lynx ranked dead last in the IL with a .228 batting average. In fact, if you look at their regular players, there's not a single guy that's played, 25, 30 games that's even near batting .300. Dan McKinley is probably their best everyday hitter in terms of average, hitting at .265. So they have definitely done it with timely hitting, as Stan Huff pointed out to us before the game, and some good pitching. A ball and no strikes to Brian Schneider. Jamie Carroll also hitting at .265, although it's only recently that he has become an everyday player for the Lynx with the call-up of Tomas De La Rosa. Lynx will host the Clippers again tomorrow afternoon at Jet Form Park. That's a 2:05 start, which we will have here on Rogers Television. There's a ground ball right side. Gloved at first by Ottavina. Flips to Hernandez covering. Schneider is out, and Nunari moves up to third base. So with 2 down, Dan McKinley will come to the plate, and McKinley, one of the hottest hitters in the Lynx lineup. As we take another look at the routine glove play, well, not so routine, a tricky hop that had to be fielded by Ottavina and Hernandez covering. Dan McKinley on the road trip going 11 for 27. That's a 4:07 clip on the road in Columbus and Toledo.
Well, Dan McKinley hitting .359 this month with 13 RBI in 12 games. So he's been definitely the Lynx' most productive hitter in this month.
Slashes that one the other way. It's a foul ball. And you see some of the young fans in the picnic area tussling over that souvenir. A ball and a strike to McKinley. That one going into the Ottawa dugout off the end of McKinley's bat. I was at a game earlier this season, and for the first time ever, I actually retrieved a foul ball.
Were you in the picnic area grappling with any kids for the ball?
No, I was behind the first base dugout. A swing and a miss by McKinley, and he strikes out. A breaking pitch from Hernandez gets the Clippers out of the inning, but not before the Lynx get 3 runs on 3 hits.
On Monday, Rogers Television offers up local entertainment, cooking, and music, all starting at 8 with The Ticket, Ottawa's weekly arts and entertainment show. This is your guide to all the events and artists appearing in the capital. Then watch Chef's Table at 8:30 as chefs all around town offer up recipes for lunch, dinner, or dessert. After learning some culinary secrets, watch the XFM New Rock 22 at 10, featuring an hour of the latest and greatest alternative rock videos. Rogers Television has it all on Mondays.
My name is Alicia, and these are my best friends, Casey, Alex, and Mira. We do totally everything together. We even play on the same soccer team. We're pretty good, too. We even won the championship this year. Our final game was on Rogers Television. It was so cool. Especially when Casey scored a goal. There was an instant replay and everything. I've never been on TV before. Even my stupid brother thought it was cool.
Rogers Television. Local matters. Only on Rogers Cable.
The cellular communications for this production are provided by Rogers AT&T Wireless. Rogers AT&T Wireless proudly supports community television because local matters.
Top of the second inning from Jet Forum Park, and the Lynx are leading at 3-1. The big blow in the game, a 2-run double for Talmadge Nuneri in the bottom of the first inning off starter Adrian Hernandez. And as he had mentioned, not exactly the pitcher's duel that we had been expecting. There's Hideki Irabu, who ran into a bit of trouble in the first inning as he allowed the first 3 batters to reach base. Fortunately for Irabu and the Lynx, Kerry Bridges made a base running error that allowed Irabu to get an out, even though the first 3 members of the Clippers lineup reached base. Then he struck out Shane Spencer, but gave up a balk that allowed Donzel McDonald to score before retiring Henry Rodriguez on a fly ball to left to end the inning. Scott Seabold will lead things off, the Columbus third baseman. Hitting at .282, swings on the first pitch, hits it to Jamie Carroll at short. Throw to first is in time, and Seabold is retired.
Well, a nice start to the second inning for Hideki Irabu. It took him quite a few pitches to get out number 1 in the first inning. There you see a routine ground ball to Jamie Carroll, who we should mention is playing shortstop now in the absence of Tomas De La Rosa, who's up in Montreal. And in the few games I've been to this season, Tomas De La Rosa has made some fantastic plays at shortstop for the Ottawa Lynx.
Paul Ottavina, the batter, takes one outside. We mentioned that the hitting has not been coming together for the Ottawa Lynx, but the pitching has been coming together. One thing that has also been a key to the Lynx so far this season has been the defense. They have turned many double plays. They've had solid defense up the middle, particularly when De La Rosa was still here. And with Bergeron in center field, who is widely regarded as one of the better outfielders, was widely regarded as one of the better outfielders in the majors when the season started. So, of course, he would be considered one of the top outfielders defensively in the International League. The Lynx really do have some strength defensively this season. The 1-1, a breaking pitch inside, 2 balls and a strike to Ottavina.
Yeah, with the exception of Rob Sasser, who's made 14 errors this season, the Ottawa Lynx have been very solid defensively, and as you mentioned, that really helps out when your hitting isn't going as well as it should be. That puts the emphasis on your pitching and your defense to step it up.
Just outside, 3-1 now to Ottavina as Irabu falls behind yet again. A ground ball up the middle, backhanded by Mateo. The throw to first is not in time. Great play by Mateo just to get to that ball, and then he was not able to put a lot on the throw to first base, so it will go as a base hit for Ottavina.
Yeah, excellent play by Henry Mateo, ranging to his right just to get to this ball, as you said, as he takes a backhand stab. He tries to throw it off his back foot, but unable to get enough mustard on the ball, as they say, and Ottavina on first base with an infield single.
Eric Almont, the shortstop, to the plate now with a runner at first and one away. A called strike. Lynx started the year with Mateo and De La Rosa as the middle infielders, and really very early on started to put on a show defensively in that middle infield, turning lots of double plays and making plays like the one Mateo just made. Oh, 0-2 to the Columbus shortstop. Rabu tosses to first. And home plate umpire Josh Bennett saying that that pitch hit Almont. Didn't seem like the batter thought that he had been hit, but Josh Bennett jumping out there immediately and indicating that the batter had been hit, so he will go to first.
Yeah, a pitch that got away, obviously, from Hideki Irabu, a breaking ball, and tough to tell from that angle if that did indeed hit Eric Almont. And like you mentioned, he seemed pretty surprised that he was getting a free pass to first base, but I guess you never argue in those situations.
Pascual Matos at the plate now with runners at first and second. There's a called strike. Actually, I believe there was one game we did last year where somebody did argue that they had not been hit because they wanted to continue the at-bat. They had an RBI opportunity. I believe it was somebody on the visiting side. There's a ground ball. Fielded at third. Throw to first, second rather, in time. Throw to first is in time. It's a double play that goes from Sek to Mateo to Nunari. And the Lynx defense coming up big once again.
John, what other great celebrities do you think we'll get here on Daytime?
You'll have to tune in to find out.
Play ball all summer long with Rogers Television and the Ottawa Lynx. Watch the Lynx as they play Columbus May 20th at 2 p.m.
Watch Ottawa Uncut for the inaugural opening of this region's link to the Trans-Canada Trail. Canada Trails Relay 2000, next time on Ottawa Uncut.
Don't sit around placing phone calls all day. Let Swap Shop help you find the items you're looking for. Monday nights at 7 on Rogers Television.
Meals for the production crew are provided by Lorenzo's Pizzeria, 737-3737. Lorenzo's Pizzeria, a proud sponsor of Rogers Television.
Another look at the double play to end the top of the second inning as Scott Zach fields this one, ranging to his left in good position to make a throw to Mateo. And Mateo's throw to Nunari in time to turn two. And Irabu gets out of the inning, giving up just the one hit. He hit a batter And one runner was left on base. The Clippers have stranded 2 through the first 2 innings, and Ottawa leads it 3-1 as we move to the bottom of the second. It'll be Jamie Carroll, Scott Zeck, and then Peter Bergeron for the Lynx. Lots of changes made by the Lynx in the offseason, as we talked about. A new mascot this year, new uniforms, new manager as well. Stan Huff in his first season with the Ottawa Lynx. And starting to see some better crowds this year.
Back in May, they had over 3,000 people for back-to-back games in May for the first time, and I think it was in 3 years, so definitely things headed in the right direction. It was back in early May, I believe, against Toledo. Had a couple of nights there where they had over 3,000 fans.
So some of the best crowds they've had in May in quite some time. So some momentum is building here at Jet Forum Park as the Lynx are doing well on the field and also starting to attract larger crowds thanks to the hard work of the Lynx front office staff over the course of the offseason. Jamie Carroll at the plate, getting a chance to play every day now with De La Rosa up in the big leagues. A ball and a strike to Jamie Carroll. High and outside, ball 2. And when you have 3,000 people at Jet Forum Park, there's a pretty good atmosphere. I know that some fans who have come in the past couple of seasons, when there have been crowds closer to 1,000 or 1,200, have commented that there are so many empty seats that it's not as fun at the ballpark when there's a small crowd. But when you start to get 3,000, 3,500 people here, the atmosphere is a very good one. And a lot of fans commenting after that homestand where they did have back-to-back crowds of 3,000 that they felt like the atmosphere had dramatically improved and that baseball was back in Ottawa.
Yeah, you definitely noticed it. I believe last year we did a game here on Rogers. There was 9,000 people in the stands. I remember that night just being a very lively crowd. And you're right, everybody gets into it a little bit more, and it makes for a much more enjoyable evening.
After the leadoff walk to Carroll, Scott Zeck comes to the plate, and he takes outside, and Adrian Hernandez having some control problems here in the bottom of the second inning. Drop down, and the only play is to first base, and almost an errant throw by Adrian Hernandez, but he does get the out. Zeck executing the bunt, and that advances Carroll to second.
Well, it looked like Hernandez's throw to first base might have gone a little wild. They can look at it there. Almost a surprise bunt by Scott Zeck, but he does the job by moving over the runner, and there you see he flipped it over to first base. A good play by the second baseman for the Clippers, covering on the play there, Kerry Bridges.
So with the runner at second, Peter Bergeron to the plate. He is 0 for 1. He grounded out to first, leading off the ball game for the Lynx. Takes one outside for ball 1. While the Lynx have not had a lot of success in terms of batting average so far this year, they are doing a lot of the little things right. They have 61 stolen bases so far this season, and that is tops in the International League. And the Lynx are on pace to set a new club record in that category if they maintain the same pace over the course of the season. Henry Mateo with 12 stolen bases, tied with 2 other players for top spot in the International League. So they are doing a lot of the little things right. There's a swing and a miss by Bergeron, 2-1.
And not only is it Henry Mateo with the 12 stolen bases, but Nuneri, Peter Bergeron, and Rob Sasser have combined for 24 stolen bases. So those 3 guys are also stepping up and running on the base paths for the Lynx. So they have a very balanced base running attack as well.
A high hopper over Hernandez that backhanded at second. Throw to first is in time. Bergeron is retired, and moving up to third on the play is Carroll. A very close play at first base on that high hopper on the infield that was fielded by Kerry Bridges.
Well, anytime you have an infield hit, it's going to be a chop like that. As you take a look at the replay here, and Bergeron, the ball hits off the home plate area over the head of Hernandez. And an excellent play by Kerry Bridges. We saw Henry Mateo in the last inning try to make the throw across his body and not get enough on it. Kerry Bridges was able to get enough on it. And when you got a guy like Peter Bergeron going down the line, you got to really hustle your play.
So here's Henry Mateo. He tripled and scored in the first inning to get things started for the Ottawa Lynx. With 2 down and a runner at third here. Hits it the other way to left center field. Spencer calling for it, puts it away, and that is out number 3. So a leadoff walk gets as far as third base, but that's it. 3-1 Ottawa as we move to the third.
Hi, I'm Lanny Wong, host of One on One. In 1995, best-selling author Wei-Sin Choi received a call from a woman saying she'd just seen his mother. Except Wei-Sin Choi's mother died 19 years earlier.
So at the age of 55, 56, I discovered that I had been adopted.
Find out how one phone call changed best-selling author Wei-Sin Choi's life forever on the next One on One.
The new millennium brings new ways to stay healthy and ignite your senses with adventure. Rogers Television is ready to get up and go this month with all the recreation you can handle in a half hour. Get a kick out of life this summer on Rogers Television.
I don't know.
No.
3-1 Ottawa as we move to the top of the third inning. And there you see Scratch just off the left of the screen, the new mascot of the Ottawa Lynx, entertaining the fans. There he is. Got a young cohort with him. Replacing Lenny the Lynx.
Yeah, replacing the Lenny the Lynx. And what is your take on Scratch, Mark?
Well, I like the fact that Scratch has the full costume. He has the complete mascot look. That's one advantage. He's got the big feet. As Charles Gordon pointed out in a column in the Ottawa Citizen, you have to have big feet to be a mascot.
Now, Lenny had oversized red shoes. So if you're criticizing Lenny for not having oversized feet, I think you're barking up the wrong tree there. He had big enough feet. I think Lenny's problem, as you mentioned, was I think the body was obviously the problem. I think the fans, especially the kids, seem to appreciate the mascots that have, you know,
the weight problem.
The weight problem, like, exactly.
You like a big tummy on a mascot.
Yeah.
Lenny basically looked like a guy in a Lynx uniform who had furry sleeves on and a big head.
And big shoes.
He didn't have big shoes.
Yes, he did.
Most of the time he was just wearing the normal
I was
cleats.
Lenny on 2 occasions during my time at the Ottawa Lynx.
You were Lenny.
I'm going to have to come clean. Now that Lenny is no longer the mascot, I think I can come clean. Actually, no, maybe it was just 1 occasion, but it seemed like 2. It was a between-inning promotion.
Think of what it seemed like to the fans.
Yeah, it was a between-inning promotion. I had to put on Lenny's costume, and I remember thinking, I got to put on these oversized red shoes and run around the bases, and it was very, very difficult to do.
I distinctly remember many times where Lenny was just wearing baseball shoes. When you say oversized shoes, how big were they?
Size 15, 16?
No, nothing like what Scratch has. Scratch has the huge feet. There's called strike 3 to Donzel McDonald for out number 1 in the third. Scratch has mascot-sized feet.
Okay, I'll give you that if that's your point. A nice pitch
look
by
at called strike 3.
Nice pitch by Hideki Araba. You see, it's an off-speed breaking ball, and he's got Donzel McDonald frozen.
Kerry Bridges, the batter. Lines one to short. Carroll puts the glove on it. 2 down. That's the first time Arabu has retired the first 2 batters of an inning. There's Kerry Bridges. Had such a strong year with Ottawa last season. Mike Frank, the batter. From what I've seen, the fans are responding to scratch. The kids seem to like scratch.
Yeah, I agree with you totally there, and they have a nice feature on the Lynx website where they have Scratch's Playground and a few interactive games. So I think they are definitely trying to get Scratch out there a little more in the community than they might have been doing with Lenny in the past maybe year or so. So they're going to try to get Scratch out there, and like you mentioned, I think the kids are definitely taking a liking to him.
0-2 on Mike Frank. Chopped on the ground. Mateo charging. Throw to first is in time, and it's a 3-up, 3-down third inning for Hideki Arabu. And as we head to the bottom of the third, let's get a profile of Ottawa Lynx shortstop Jamie Carroll.
I got started in baseball when I was 7 years old, and in Indiana I was just, time to start playing some sports, and I was 7 years old, and it was just one of those sports that I played and I really enjoyed, and obviously I'm still doing it. Well, I enjoyed watching Pete Rose play. He played really hard every day, and it was somebody that my father always pointed out to me as being somebody, to try to be like and to go out every day and work that hard. And Don Manley was a hero because he was a hometown hero. He was from my hometown, and and obviously he was a Yankee, and everybody always dreams of being a Yankee as a child. So he was another one of my big fans. I tell you what, I'm number 13 for a couple of reasons. I've always been really superstitious about certain things, and I've always avoided the number my whole life. And a couple years ago in ¡99, I decided to try to buck the trend and go against all that and try not to be so superstitious. Took 13, and that year I had probably the best year of my career, and so now I'm not going to let it go.
And throughout the season, we will give you an opportunity to get to know some of the members of the Ottawa Lynx with player profiles like that one of Jamie Carroll. They have not gotten rid of musical chairs. They've made many changes here at Jetform Park, but musical chairs remains, as you see. That was a very close finish. 3-1 Ottawa leading as we go to the bottom of the third inning. And it will be Wilkerson, Smith, and Nunari to bat for the Lynx. Oh, here's a replay of the musical chairs wrap-up.
Well, you take a look at the kid, the shorter kid. An excellent job, I thought, Mark, of him getting in there and sort of mapping out, boxing out the other kid. Excellent
You kids
job.
at home who are watching, I hope you take note of the technique used there by the musical chairs winner. You never know, your turn may come when you appear at Jetform Park this year. You may get a chance to play musical chairs. Swing and a miss by Wilkerson, 1-1. Got to be intimidating for some hitters, especially right-handed ones, to be at the plate facing a guy like Hernandez with that high leg kick, that powerful delivery, and knowing that the ball can come from so many different arm angles. Not that intimidating for Wilkerson, obviously, as he strokes a single into right field. A leadoff single for Brad Wilkerson. He's been on base twice in this game.
Yeah, you mentioned it. Adrian Hernandez doesn't have overpowering stuff as you take a look at the replay of Wilkerson's single into right field, but his deceptive arm angles and high leg kick make it very difficult sometimes for a batter even just to pick up the ball. So it's always difficult when a batter's in the box against a pitcher like Adrian Hernandez.
Here's Mark Smith, an RBI single in the first inning. He looks at a strike. Mark Smith played all of last season with the Florida Marlins. Hit .245, 5 home runs, 27 runs batted in. Brad Wilkerson has 3 stolen bases. He has been caught just once. So he might be a threat to go, but with nobody out and the number 4 and 5 hitters coming to the plate, it's probably less likely that Stan Huff would send Brad Wilkerson in this situation.
I was talking to Stan Huff earlier, and he mentioned how he has to be more aggressive on the base pass. When your team's hitting only 228, you've got to be very active on the base pass, move guys over with bunts, and make sure you're always on the move. So I wouldn't be surprised if he does send Wilkerson here, only because he's been very aggressive on the base pass this season.
Throw gets away and goes into the stands. So Wilkerson will go to second.
Hey, that's something everyone can enjoy.
That is an error on Hernandez, allowing Wilkerson to move up to second base. So he's now in scoring position, and the count 1-1 on Mark Smith. A swing and a miss by Smith. He falls behind 1-2. Mark Smith, a professional baseball veteran. Just turned 31. Swings and misses at a breaking pitch, and he goes down on strikes. Strikeout number 2 for Adrian Hernandez. And that'll bring up Talmadge Nuneri. Nuneri with the big blow in the first inning, a 2-run double. Nuneri hit .281 with Ottawa last year. Takes a strike on the inside part of the plate. Also went up to Montreal and went 1 for 5 in 18 games with the Expos. Chopped on the ground, right side. A fair ball. No, a foul ball. Home plate umpire Josh Bennett calling that ball foul. And so back to second will go Brad Wilkerson.
Talmadge Nuneri, who's at the plate right now, as you take a look at this ball that was ruled foul. Talmadge Nuneri is a guy that's always been able to hit in the minor leagues. He's got a career average over 300 in the minor leagues, and has struggled a bit this season, but as we've mentioned, it seems that the struggles for the hitters on the Lynx, it's a team-wide thing. All the guys are hitting around 220, 230, so Talmadge Nuneri is a guy that's always hit 300, and there's no reason to think why he won't be able to push his average up higher as the season progresses.
A ball and 2 strikes now on Nuneri. Apart from a partial season in Jupiter in 1998 when he hit .294, last year in Ottawa was the only time and the only level at which Talmadge Nuneri did not hit over 300 in his minor league career. Hit .331 in 63 games at Harrisburg before coming up to the Lynx. The 2-2 pitch. Nicely gloved at first base by Ottavina. He'll take it to the bag himself. And that hot smash turns into out number 2 in the inning. Moving up to third on the play is Wilkerson. And Brian Schneider will come to the plate with the runner at third and 2 down.
Definitely a hot smash off the bat of Talmadge Nuneri, a one-hopper, and a good play by the Columbus first baseman Ottavina to snare it on the one hop and retire him for the out number 2.
Schneider 0 for 1. He was out on a ground ball to first for out number 2 back in the first inning. Lynx are leading at 3-1.
Coming into this ball game, Brian Schneider hitting .306 with 16 RBIs with runners in scoring position. So with a runner on third base, that might be a stat of interest.
A swing and a miss on an off-speed pitch. 2 balls and a strike to Schneider. There's a ground ball. Loved by Ottavina. Throw to first. Hernandez covering. And Schneider is out again. No runs on a hit. 3-1 Ottawa as we move to the 4th.
If you thought you needed one of these for email and to surf the internet, you're going to love this. Now with Rogers Interactive TV, you can stay in touch with friends and family over the internet. And you don't need one of these. In fact, all you really need is this. Rogers Interactive TV. Just call 1-888-ROGERS-1 and you can send and receive email. Keep up to date with the latest news. Chat. Find information. And go shopping. All right through your TV. From the comfort of your own couch. Better still, call 1-888-ROGERS-1 to order Rogers Interactive TV today and get your first 2 months for half price. There's never been an easier or more comfortable way to enjoy the internet. And it's only from Rogers Digital Cable. You're going to love this. Call 1-888-ROGERS-1 to order now.
Top of the 4th inning from Jet Forum Park. It'll be Shane Spencer, Henry Rodriguez, and Scott Seabold to bat for the Columbus Clippers, who trail the Ottawa Lynx 3-1. Hideki Arabu has retired 4 in a row, getting a 3-up, 3-down 3rd inning. Ran into a bit of trouble in the first inning. He walked the first batter, gave up a single to Kerry Bridges, and then with a runner at third base, he balked in a run. But since then has pitched a little bit better, has allowed just 1 hit since that first inning. But he will face the middle of the order here in the 4th. And the weather is holding up quite nicely tonight at Jet Forum Park. It is a cool, somewhat windy night, and there was a bit of drizzle as the game got underway, but it doesn't seem to be raining now, and things are progressing quite well as the Lynx open an 8-game homestand. They will host the Clippers again tomorrow afternoon and then get ready for a rare morning start on Victoria Day Monday. 11:35 for the first pitch between the Clippers and the Ottawa Lynx.
And I believe they're having a Victoria Day brunch down at the picnic area prior to that. So yeah, rare 11:30 start. I think they had one last year. 11:30 a.m. start.
There's a called strike. 0-1 to Shane Spencer. Lynx will host the Clippers again to close out the series on Tuesday night at 7. Then they get a day off, their first in more than a month. And then they will host the Durham Bulls for 4 games, Thursday and Friday nights, and then Saturday and Sunday afternoons. 2 balls and 2 strikes now on Shane Spencer. That 11:35 start makes me think of the Boston Red Sox and how they have a game every year that starts in the morning.
Yeah, Patriots Day.
That's right.
The day of the Boston Marathon, they always have an 11:30 a.m. start.
3-2 now on Spencer.
Get it now. Come on now, Decky. You got him scared. Put it by him now.
Popped up. Nunari and Mateo converging in shallow right field. And Nunari puts the ball away in foul territory for out number 1.
The designated hitter, the frappant designated, Henry Rodriguez.
So here's Henry Rodriguez. He was out on a fly ball to left in the first inning. Remember Henry Rodriguez in a game that was played here at Jet Forum Park, I believe in the '97 season, when he was a member of the Expos and Montreal made its then annual trip to Ottawa for an exhibition game against the AAA club. And a lot of excitement about watching Henry Rodriguez take batting practice that day. That's in the air to left field. Wilkerson going over towards the line. And he puts it away for out number 2. I believe it was a club record when Henry Rodriguez hit 36 home runs for the Expos in the '96 season. A record, of course, that has since been eclipsed at least twice by Vladimir Guerrero. But at the time, I believe that was the most that had ever been hit by an Expo. A breaking pitch for a called strike. It's 0-1 to Scott Siebel. Then Rodriguez, of course, went on to the Chicago Cubs. And the expectation, of course, was that he would hit even more home runs at Wrigley Field. But 36 remains his career high. Line the other way. 0-2 on Scott Siebel. I remember when the Expos acquired Henry Rodriguez, and they did give up Roberto Kelly in order to make that trade, and many people had been excited about the Expos having Roberto Kelly, an outfielder with lots of experience. Henry Rodriguez at the time was pretty much unheard of. And there was a lot of speculation as to why the Expos made the decision to give up Kelly in exchange for Henry Rodriguez. And Rodriguez did not get off to a great start in Montreal in his first year, and in fact spent a bit of time in Ottawa. Played 4 games for the Lynx in the '95 season. But then once he had a full season in Montreal in '96, he really performed well, hitting those 36 home runs, also had 42 doubles. Fouled at the plate, it remains 1-2 on Scott Siebel.
Well, you remember when the Expos acquired Roberto Kelly, it was in exchange for Marquise Grissom. So the Expos' rationale being that the replacement for Marquise Grissom would be Roberto Kelly, a guy that could play every day and at least provide some offensive spark to them. And so when they traded him away for a guy that, as you mentioned, was unknown, I think there was a little bit of backlash from the fans in Montreal.
There's a swing and a miss. And Siebel strikes out. It's another 3-up, 3-down inning. Hideki Arabu has retired 7 in a row. 3-1 Ottawa.
Rogers Cable proudly supports Child Find in their search for missing children across the country. If you have information about this child or any other missing child, please contact Child Find at 1-800-387-7962.
Telelatino presents the Copa America 2001. The Copa America features the best of South American soccer and is considered one of the most exciting tournaments in the world. Brazil is the reigning champion, having won the tournament back-to-back in 1997 and 1999. 11 other nations will work to unseat Brazil. Telelatino will have complete coverage.
3-1 Ottawa as we move to the bottom of the fourth inning, and Hideki Arabu is starting to get into a bit of a groove here. He has retired 7 in a row, going back to Pascual Matos and the double play ball to end the second inning, and has thrown 59 pitches so far in the game. 38 of them have been strikes, and that's pretty good numbers for a guy who walked the leadoff batter.
Yeah, like we mentioned, if Hideki Arabu economizes his pitches properly, should be around till about the 6th or 7th inning. And now that he seems to have settled down, and after that rocky start, he's retired 7 in a row, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him last into the 6th or 7th inning here tonight.
Adrian Hernandez, on the other hand, has given up 3 runs, all of them in the first inning. Talmadge Nuneri with the big hit in this ball game, a 2-run double. It'll be Dan McKinley, Jamie Carroll, and Scott Zeck to face Adrian Hernandez here in the 4th inning. McKinley out on strikes to end the first. Hernandez, 26 years old, delivers up high to McKinley. A ball and no strikes. He is listed at 6'1", 180. There's something about the way he wears that Clippers uniform. He's obviously at 6'1", 180, a slender guy, and that uniform a little bit baggy in the front, and it makes you think of baseball in Cuba and the way that they wear the uniforms down there with the high socks and with the oversized jerseys. Swing and a miss by McKinley. He strikes out for the 2nd time in the game. That's strikeout number 3 for Adrian Hernandez. Adrian Hernandez was born in Havana, Cuba. He now lives in Tampa, Florida. Last year went 2-1 with Columbus, a 4.40 ERA. Went 5-1 at Double-A with a 4.04 ERA. Jamie Carroll walked to lead off the 2nd inning. He was advanced to 3rd base, but was stranded there. Time had been called before Adrian Hernandez let go of that pitch and fired it Rick Ankiel style to the screen.
Yeah, I think Adrian Hernandez, of course, was about 3/4 way through his windup. He doesn't look too happy with that, but rather than try to hold on to the ball, he decided to release it. You mentioned a Rick Ankiel style fastball.
Not sure what Hernandez is unhappy about. It was his catcher that called time, and maybe there was a miscommunication between Hernandez and the catcher Matos. And there's a line drive down the left field line towards the corner. Carroll is rounding first. He's going to try for second. Here comes the throw, and Carroll is in with a double. A 1-out double for Jamie Carroll. That'll bring Scott Zeck to the plate. That's the 5th hit in the game for the Lynx. Zek had a sacrifice bunt in the 2nd, and they call a balk on Adrian Hernandez. And that's going to bring Trey Hillman, the Columbus Clippers manager, out of the dugout. But he's not going to talk to the home plate umpire, Josh Bennett. He's going to talk to Hernandez, try and get him settled down here. Hernandez was upset before he threw the pitch to Jamie Carroll, on which Carroll got a double. And he's even more agitated now after having been called for a balk. So Hillman out there to try to settle down this right-handed starter.
Second time tonight, Josh Bennett, the home plate umpire, has called the balk, and that's something you don't see called too often. So to see it called twice in a game is something significant. And you see the Clippers now having a mound conference, and as you mentioned, probably trying to settle down Adrian Hernandez, because he obviously wasn't in the right frame of mind when he was pitching to Jamie Carroll, and he certainly wasn't too happy with the home plate umpire after the balk call.
And you see that Trey Hillman is directing most of his advice to the catcher, Matos, who is then relaying it to Hernandez. Obviously, Hernandez does not speak a lot of English, and Hillman does not speak a lot of Spanish, and Matos is acting as the interpreter. And that might be the reason that Josh Bennett is giving them a little bit of extra time in order to complete the conversation out there, because he knows that everything had to be said twice.
Yeah, usually when the umpire comes up there, you'll see everybody disperse from the mound, but as you mentioned there, probably a bit of a language barrier when dealing with Adrian Hernandez.
Hernandez walking off the mound and looking out towards center field, and perhaps taking a deep breath there to settle himself down before he steps on the rubber again. Jamie Carroll at third. Scott Zek at the plate. One down, infield in. Low ball one. There's a ground ball base hit into left field. Carroll will score. It's an RBI single against a drawn-in infield for Scott Zek, and the move does not pay off for the Clippers. That might have been a ground ball out if the infield had been back.
I definitely think that would have been a ground ball out, either to the third baseman, Siebel, or the shortstop, Almond. But because, as you mentioned, the infield's drawn in, playing pretty much on the grass, Scott Zek able to find a hole between third and short and gives the Ottawa Lynx a 3-run lead here in the 4th inning.
It is 4-1 Ottawa, and the Lynx now is 6 hits in the game. Peter Bergeron, who is 0 for 2, stands in, and Zek draws a throw, and we're going to get action now in the Columbus Clippers bullpen. Mike Bertoti has started to throw. 6'5" left-hander. Here's a swing and a miss by Bergeron. Peter Bergeron will not turn 24 until the 9th of November. Hits it into right field. Going back is Frank, and he doesn't get it. On his way to third is Scott Zek. Bergeron will have to stop at second. Zek into third base, and it's a double for Peter Bergeron as he puts it over the head of the right fielder, Mike Frank.
Well, it's a double by Peter Bergeron, but it's a double, I think, with a big asterisk next to it, because the right fielder for Columbus, Mike Frank, got all twisted up on that. I think he wasn't sure whether or not he should break in or head back on that ball, and then by the time he decided which way he should go, he didn't know if he was coming or going. So Peter Bergeron ends up on second, and a good sign for him, just his second hit in his last 14 at bats. So that's nice to see for Peter Bergeron.
And once again, the Columbus infield comes in with Henry Mateo at the plate. Mateo tripled and scored in the first inning. He was out on a fly ball to left in the second. Swings and misses here for strike one. look at Mateo. And Mike Bertotti in the Columbus bullpen. Foul tipped into the catcher's glove. 0-2 on Mateo. Second and third, one away. In the dirt. A couple of big pitches there from Hernandez to get ahead in the count on Mateo after showing a lack of consistency to start off this inning. Mateo reaches for it, hits it down the left field line. It drops for a base hit. Coming home to score is Zek. Bergeron will score as well. Mateo with a 2-run single, and the Lynx lead it 6-1.
What a nice piece of hitting by Henry Mateo. You got 2 strikes on you, so you're going to shorten up your swing and make sure you can get the ball in play. And not only does he get the ball in play, he deposits it in short left field where nobody is, and it's a 2-run single. As you take a look at it here, 2 strikes on him, so he's going to try to swing at anything near the strike zone, and he does an excellent job of just sort of placing that ball in left field in front of Shane Spencer, and I think that might be the end of the night for Adrian Hernandez.
It will be the end of the night as Trey Hillman comes out to the mound for his second mound visit of the inning. Takes the ball from Adrian Hernandez, and we're going to have a pitching change here in the bottom of the 4th inning, and not the outing that Adrian Hernandez was hoping for. He walks to the dugout with cap in hand after giving up 6 runs on 7 hits. Check that, I think it's even 8 hits for the Ottawa Lynx so far in this game. And the runner at first base also belonging to Adrian Hernandez, the Columbus starter, and that's really his first rough outing of the season.
Yeah, very rough outing as you take a look at Adrian Hernandez going to the water cooler, and he had a tough first inning, gave up 3 runs, and he ran into some more trouble here in the 4th, giving up another 3 runs. So Trey Hillman decides it's time to give him the hook.
And they bring in the left-hander to face Brad Wilkerson, the left-handed hitting Ottawa outfielder. So they'll switch things up on the Lynx here after the right-hander went just 3 1/3 to start the game. Hernandez giving up 8 hits and at least 6 runs in the game. And all of those will be earned runs. So we're not seeing the best stuff from the Yankees pitching prospect on this night. We'll see what Mike Bertotti has. There are the numbers on Bertotti. This will be appearance number 12 for Bertotti. He's given up 21 hits in 16 2/3 innings. And he's walked 14 in those 16 2/3 innings, along with striking out 20. Brad Wilkerson with a walk and a single in 2 trips so far tonight. Lynx up by 5, 6-1 is the score.
Of course, you've got to be aware of Henry Mateo on the base paths, tied for the IL lead with 12 steals and led the Eastern League last year with 48 steals as a member of the Harrisburg Senators.
Wilkerson swings, hits it in the air to left field. Spencer is going back to the warning track against the wall, and it's gone. It's a home run for Brad Wilkerson, and the Lynx get 2 more runs as Wilkerson greets the new pitcher, Mike Bertotti, with a long drive to left field.
So Well, a rude welcome to the game for Mike Bertoni from Brad Wilkerson. And to be honest with you, I didn't think that ball was going to get out of here. But as I take a look at the flags out in center field, I see the wind is blowing a bit to left center field. So maybe that one got caught up in the wind a little bit. But Brad Wilkerson will definitely take that. His second home run of the season, or a second home run since rejoining the Lynx 7 games ago. So it is now 8-1 Ottawa, and that means Adrian Hernandez's line is now closed. 7 runs allowed as you take a look at it. And kind of off the end of the bat there by Brad Wilkerson, and you'll see Shane Spencer kind of get twisted around, but that didn't matter. It's over the fence for a home run.
Wilkerson did get under that one quite a bit. And you're right, if not for the wind, it's possible that that ball might have stayed in the park. Mark Smith with a broken bat and a ground ball to third. Seaball throws to first. And Smith is retired. And you could tell by the reaction of Seaball that he was a little bit worried that he was going to have a couple of splinters as a result of that ground ball to third.
Well, the top half of Mark Smith's bat ended up where the shortstop is. It was obvious that the pitch sawed him off at the hands, but it's always a tricky play, I think, for the infielder, because not only are you worried about the ball, but it's also shards of wood or a big piece of the bat coming at you, too.
Talmadge Nunari, the batter. The 8th man to bat in what so far has been a 5-run inning for the Ottawa Lynx. And we started out tonight by talking about how the Lynx have not been hitting. They have been winning through pitching, some timely hitting, and good defense. But tonight the Lynx are getting lots of hits. 9 hits already, and we're only in the bottom of the 4th inning. Adrian Hernandez, the Columbus starter, giving up 8 hits in 3 1/3, allowing 7 earned runs. 3 balls and no strikes now to Talmadge Nunari.
The Lynx have, with this 5-run outburst here in the 4th inning, they've tied their season high for runs scored in an inning, which is 5, and they're 1 away from tying their season high for runs in a ball game, which is 9.
There's ball 4 to Nunari. He walks on 4 pitches, and that'll send the 9th man to the plate this inning, Brian Schneider.
The catcher,
Brian Schneider is one of those guys. You see the lefty-lefty matchup that we have presented here with Bertoni and Schneider. And Brian Schneider is actually a little bit different than most hitters. He actually enjoys hitting against left-handed pitchers. Brian is hitting .423 this season, 11 out of 25 against southpaws. So he's not your conventional hitter that does better against right-handed pitchers.
0-1 to Schneider. Brian is 0 for 2 in the game. He's twice been out on a ground ball to first base. Takes one outside, 1-1. A 2-run single for Henry Mateo and a 2-run home run for Brad Wilkerson. The big hits in this 5-run inning for the Ottawa Lynx. There's a ground ball and a comebacker. Bertoni flips to the first baseman, Ottavina. And that'll do it for the Lynx. They send 9 to the plate. They score 5, and they lead it by 7.
This artist was asked to play guitar on Garth Brooks' Double Live album. 2 former members of the Go-Go's helped him write his current hit song. Who is he? Keith Urban. And you can see him on the Y105 Hot 30 video countdown.
The other money shows always tell you what to do with your money. On Moneyline, we ask what you want to do with your money. Moneyline each week on Rogers Television.
I'm Scott Evans. For the day's top business stories and local interviews, please join us for Ottawa Business Journal Television, weeknights at 6:30.
The program is called Online with Rogers, and it's here to answer your questions about the entertainment and information products available from Rogers Cable. I'm Craig Cole, inviting you to join us Wednesday nights at 7 live on Rogers Television.
So the Lynx send 9 men to the plate in the bottom of the 4th inning. They score 5 runs on 5 hits. They chase Adrian Hernandez from the game, and Ottawa now leads it 8-1. As we move to the 5th inning, it'll be the bottom third of the Columbus order to face starting pitcher Hideki Arabu.
Well, Hideki is in quite a groove right now, having retired 7 straight batters, and I think he certainly held up his part of the bargain in our hyped pitching matchup of the night here.
He did get off to a slow start, walking Donzel McDonald to lead off the game and then giving up singles to Kerry Bridges and Mike Frank. But thanks to a base running error by Kerry Bridges, which resulted in the Clippers having 2 men on third base at the same time, Arabu got the first out of the game. He then struck out Shane Spencer, but allowed a balk, which scored Donzel McDonald from third before getting the third out of the inning on a fly ball to left by Henry Rodriguez. And that has accounted for the Clippers' only run. And since then, Arabu has allowed just 1 hit, that an infield single by Paul Ottavina in the 2nd inning, and it'll be Ottavina to lead off the 5th inning for the Clippers. Off the end of the bat and foul out of play. The pitching matchup for tomorrow afternoon as the Lynx host the Clippers at 2:05 at Jet Form Park. Teddy Rose will pitch for Ottawa. That's popped straight up behind home plate. Schneider going back to the screen, and he makes the play. Ottavina is retired. 8 in a row have been sent down by Hideki Arabu. Teddy Rose with a record of 4-2 at 3.28 ERA. And a fellow right-hander, Brandon Knight, will be pitching for the Clippers tomorrow afternoon. Again, a 2:05 start at Jet Form Park. Should be a good afternoon for baseball. There might be some clouds in the sky, but they're expecting a high tomorrow of about 23 degrees Celsius, so should be a nice afternoon to be at the ballpark. And if you can't be here, we will have the game on Rogers Television tomorrow afternoon starting at 2. Eric Almont, the batter. A ball and a strike. You'll notice the Clippers uniforms resembling very much the parent club New York Yankees uniforms, right down to the fact that there are no names on the jerseys. Slow breaking pitch. And Almont checked his swing just in time.
And that's something the Lynx have gone to this year. No names on the back of their new jerseys.
Gives it a little bit more of a classic baseball kind of look as we see that breaking pitch that just missed, and just checked his swing. Here's a comebacker for Arabu. 2 down in the 5th inning. I don't think you really need to have names on baseball uniforms.
No, I think I agree with you, because for the most part the players are in the same position. They're not, you know, all over the field where you won't know who's where and why. And I think most baseball fans are, or at least, you know, most baseball fans are pretty, you know, knowledgeable fans and will understand that a certain player plays in an area. So, I mean, having the scorecard is usually enough, and I don't think you necessarily need to have the name, especially when the players are all facing you. And for the most part, you won't even see the backs of their jerseys.
0-2 on Pascual Matos. Swing and a miss for strike 3. Hideki Arabu has retired 10 in a row, 3 straight 3-up, 3-down innings. And we head to the bottom of the 5th at jet form.
Ottawa's cultural window opens to TV Vietnam, Projection Pakistan, and Turkish Horizon this Sunday from 9:30 a.m. until 11 a.m.
Tries to put it around the boards, picked off by Jarrett, centered in front. Ottawa can't get rope. Bounce off the leg. Wheeler. The Ottawa 67 wins the 2001 OHL Championship.
Front Row Center, because local matters. Front Row Center, Sundays at 9. Meals for the production crew are provided by Lorenzo's Pizzeria, 737-3737. Lorenzo's Pizzeria, a proud sponsor of Rogers Television.
8-1 Ottawa as we move to the bottom of the 5th inning at Jet Forum Park, and Hideki Arabu has retired 10 in a row. Nobody has been on base since Eric Almont was grazed by a pitch back in the 2nd inning. It'll be Dan McKinley, Jamie Carroll, and Scott Zeck for the Lynx here in the 5th inning, facing the left-handed reliever, Mike Bertoti.
Second straight inning, Dan McKinley has led off for the Lynx. He led off the 4th inning by striking out, but after that, the Ottawa Lynx got their act together and ended up scoring 5 runs in the inning.
Brad Wilkerson with a 2-run home run in this game. Talmadge Nunari with a 2-run double. Henry Mateo a 2-run single. Mark Smith and Scott Zeck have also driven in runs, as the Lynx lead it 8-1. Dan McKinley 0 for 2 with a pair of strikeouts in this game. So he could not figure out Hernandez, but just about everybody else on the Lynx could in this game, as Ottawa got to Hernandez for 8 hits. Low and away, ball 1 to McKinley. The 1-1 fouled off, 1-2 to McKinley. Well, one of the things that we started doing last season on Rogers Television, which we had a lot of fun with, and we're going to continue this year, is a regular trivia question from Ian to me. And you can play along at home, of course. So every game you'll have a trivia question for me.
Every game, yes, I will have a difficult trivia question for you.
And I get to try to guess, but also to ask you some questions in order to pinpoint the answer if it's not something that I know right away. Fouled back to the screen, still 1-2.
Well, the question for tonight, Mark, and for everybody listening at home, is involving, in some ways, Alex Rodriguez, because there was a lot of talk in the offseason when Alex Rodriguez signed that mega deal with the Texas Rangers, and they had the highest paid player. But my question to you is, name the last time a baseball team with the highest paid player won the World Series.
The last time that a baseball team with the highest paid player in baseball won the World Series. held off at the plate. Still 1-2 on McKinley. While I'm thinking of that, you're mentioning Alex Rodriguez reminded me of an item that I saw in Sports Illustrated where they noted that somebody in Seattle had held up a sign jokingly saying, "Need a loan, call 1-800-252-ALEX." 252 being the $252 million contract. Was it 252?
Yeah, $252
million contract that Rodriguez had signed. And Alex, of course, being his first name. And it turns out that that number is actually the toll-free number of a bank. So that bank actually got a bunch of calls. Now, the fan who had written that had just made up that phone number because of the contract and because of Alex Rodriguez's first name. But it turns out it actually is the phone number of a bank. One of life's funny coincidences. 2-2 to McKinley.
What I want to know is who actually phoned that number. I mean, if somebody here had up a number, you know, for, you know, like the scaffold fast.
There's a number right there.
You know, how many people actually phone that number?
Well, I don't know. Advertising can be very effective. I say that as the publisher of a newspaper. Nothing wrong with putting your phone number up.
When a fan just holds up a sign, I don't know who would actually phone the number.
Swing and a miss by McKinley, and he strikes out for the third time in the game. But a little bit more to that at-bat than just a straight strikeout, as he did foul off a number of pitches.
Rough night for Dan McKinley, who, as we mentioned, came into this game probably the hottest hitter on the Ottawa Lynx. Take a look at the replay. He just swings and misses on that pitch, and that is strikeout number 3 for him. And fortunately for him, his Lynx teammates have been there tonight to pick up the slack for him.
There's a ground ball off the bat of Jamie Carroll. Fielded by Bridges at second. Throw to first is in time, and that's the first time that Jamie Carroll has been retired in this game. He had walked in the second and hit a double in the fourth. They'll bring up Scott Zeck. 2 down. So the last time that a player,
the highest paid
player was part of a World Series championship team. Scott Zeck now hitting .429 since being called up from Double-A Harrisburg. Got a piece of that one, 0-1. Is it since Reggie Jackson for the New York Yankees?
Yes.
It is.
Is that your guess? Is Reggie
No.
Jackson your guess? All right.
No, if Reggie Jackson was my guess, I would have made that my guess. So it's since the late 70s. I'm going to guess that it is 1986 Gary Carter.
Very good. You know, you just wrecked this game. You're supposed to draw this out, series of clues. Instead, you just nail it on your first try. Yep, Gary Carter, 1986 is the last time the highest paid player in baseball was part of a World Series team. So that's a pretty interesting statistic given where baseball salaries have gone, and especially in light of Alex Rodriguez's big contract that he signed.
I'm sure that is not going to discourage anybody in baseball from attempting to be the highest paid player, though.
Probably going to take a while before somebody passes Alex Rodriguez, but yeah, you're right. That's not going to dissuade anybody from signing a lucrative contract.
1-2 for Scott Zeck.
Speaking of contracts, and Jose Canseco, who used to be one of the highest paid players in Major League Baseball, for those of you who don't know, just signed a minor league contract down in Newark, in the Independent League.
playing with his brother. Swung on, hit in the air, deep left field. Spencer going back, and it's off the top of the wall. Zek is on his way to second, and he narrowly missed a home run there. A two-out double for Scott Zek, but I think he came within about 2 feet of hitting that one out of the ballpark.
Well, Scott Zek has certainly hit the ball well since joining the Ottawa Lynx. You take a look at the replay here. A fastball in on the hands. He's able to pull it. And as you mentioned, he missed by maybe, we'll see for sure there, maybe a foot.
Yeah.
From getting a home run, and ends up with the stand-up double. But the point I was making about Jose Canseco and salaries and maybe in how the mighty have fallen. Jose Canseco signed a contract, and in the league that he's playing in, the league maximum salary is $3,000 a month. So what the other owners did, and Jose recently disclosed that he's actually making $6,000 a month, and of course questions were raised how he was able to get a salary twice the league maximum. And it turns out that the owners of the other teams are chipping in $500 a month to pay for Jose Canseco because he's such a great drawing card for their league. So I thought that was an interesting point, but I'm sure Jose would much rather be making a major league salary rather than the $6,000 a month he's making down in Newark.
I hope he saved up lots of money back when he was being paid so well in the majors, and also making money from his 1-900 line. Do you remember that? You could call every day and get a little diary update from Jose Canseco. He would record something each day for his fans about what he'd been up to. Went on a little shopping trip, and
1-800-252-Jose.
No, that was for the bank that he deposited all his money into. 2-2 on Peter Bergeron. Back in his time, there were few bigger stars in baseball than Jose Canseco.
Of course, he was the first player to have a 40-40 season, and was the leader of that Oakland A's juggernaut team there in the late 80s. You're right, he was probably the baseball's biggest drawing card in the late 1980s.
Three and two down, runner at second. Bergeron fouls it back to the screen. And when it all started to come apart, it happened very quickly. I remember that pitching stint where he threw out his arm. He had been insisting for many, many games that he wanted a chance to pitch when there was a blowout, a mop-up situation. And so finally they caved in and let him do it, and he ended up on the disabled list because he threw out his arm while he was pitching. 3-2 pitch again. Bergeron swings and misses, and that's strike three. Runner left at second for the Lynx, but they still lead it 8-1.
Rogers thanks you for choosing Rogers Cable. To better serve you, we offer a variety of convenient bill payment options. Choose the option that best suits your needs. Through telephone banking, by credit card payments via a Rogers Cable customer service representative, through an over-the-counter bank transaction at your local branch, or at your neighborhood Rogers video store. It's your choice.
I just get people confused. I mean, why is it that I always get John Boyd and John Ratzenberger confused? I think they're the same person. They're the same person.
Play ball all summer long with Rogers Television and the Ottawa Lynx. Watch the Lynx as they play Columbus May 20th at 2 p.m.
8-1, Lynx lead it as we move to the sixth inning at Jet Forum Park. And it'll be the top of the order for the Columbus Clippers facing Hideki Arabu. And we're going to have action in the Ottawa Lynx bullpen, as Arabu is probably approaching his pitch limit.
Yeah, he had 59 going through 4 innings, so I'd imagine he's in the 70 to 75 range about now, so he's probably got an inning or 2 left in him. And there you look at Brendan Agamanoni, who was called up from AA Harrisburg to join the Lynx earlier this month, and he's going to start to get loose, I believe, in the Ottawa bullpen.
Number 4 is an unusual number for a pitcher. Then you have Joey Eischen wearing number 9 and Robert Marquez wearing 7.
Yeah, not a lot of pitchers who wear single-digit numbers for the most part, but Ottawa Lynx have 3 of them.
Donzel McDonald 0 for 1 with a walk. Hideki Arabu has retired 10 in a row. Ground ball foul. When I think of Jose Canseco, I also think of that home run ball that bounced off the top of his head and over the fence.
I think that's when it started going downhill for Jose. But, I mean, he was able to come back. He had a 46 home run season for Toronto.
Yep.
Just, was that 2 years ago or a 98 season, I believe. So he's obviously a guy that, and had 34 homers for the Devil Rays the following season. So he's a guy that can still, you know, produce in the major league level. I'm not sure what teams would be out there looking for his services.
Down the left field line, Wilkerson on the run, slides, but does not come up with it. Looks like it ended up in the Ottawa bullpen.
And Keith Evans having a little fun there, I think, to see which kid he was going to pick out to give the ball to.
1-2 on McDonald. In the air to right field. And Mark Smith puts it away. 1 away in the 6th. I remember when the Blue Jays had that great season from Jose Canseco that it was widely regarded as one of the smartest off-season moves made in the American League that year, as many people had given up on Jose Canseco, but the Blue Jays seemed to find a way to deploy him in the right capacity as their DH, and he did have that great season.
Of course, as his career winds down, he's closing in, I believe, on 500 home runs, and then, of course, you're going to start to maybe get the argument, should Jose Canseco be in the Hall of Fame? And I'm sure that's a debate that's going to go on for quite some time.
That'll be an interesting one.
Well, perhaps since you nailed my other trivia question so quickly, I'll ask you this one to keep you going. And Jose Canseco is well over 400 home runs, and we're talking about his merits for the Hall of Fame. There's only 2 players that have hit 400 or more home runs and not been enshrined in the Hall of Fame. So perhaps I'll throw that out there since you were so quick on my Gary Carter trivia.
2 players who have hit 400 home runs and are not in the Hall of Fame.
That's right. Positional players, of course.
Yeah. As opposed to the many pitchers who
that
have hit 400 home runs who are not in the Hall of Fame. Harry Bridges out on that fly ball to left, and 2 down now in the 6th inning.
The right fielder will hold the job at the bat, Mike Frank.
Mike Frank will bat. Reached on an infield single in the 1st, was out on a ground ball in the 3rd inning.
Which stage is he dancing on? That one?
There has not been a base runner in this game for the Clippers since Eric Almond was hit by a pitch back in the 2nd inning. Fouled off at the plate. 0-1. Now I take it that neither of those 2 players, as it's hit in the air to center field. We'll have to wait till we come back to solve this one. Bergeron puts that away. Another 3 up, 3 down inning For Irabu, he has retired 13 in a row. Now let's take a look at some Ottawa Lynx baseball tips. Here's Peter Bergeron to tell you all about stealing bases.
I'm Peter Bergeron. I'm with the Ottawa Lynx. I'm a center fielder, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about base running today. We're going to start off from second base, and we're just going to talk about our primary lead, our secondary lead, and then taking off so you can hopefully score a run for your team. When you're getting on second base, you're going to be getting the signs from the coach. And then coming off second, you really can just come off real comfortable. The pitcher really has to do a lot to turn around and spin and go, so you don't have to be worried about getting picked off. You want to get to an area where you feel that you could get back if that pitcher put on a play, or if the shortstop came in behind you to put on a play. So you're always listening for your coach for help, but at the same time, you got to know what's going on. We call this our primary lead. This is where I am. This is where I'm comfortable. And the next lead that we go into after this is our secondary lead. As that pitcher starts his motion and goes into his windup to deliver the ball to the plate, we're going to take a half step with our right foot and then 2 shuffles steps so you get off to an area which is called your secondary lead. From this point, we have momentum to go to third, or if the ball crosses the plate and nothing has happened, then we can get back to second base without the catcher picking us off.
I guess that was more about base running than it was about base stealing. But nevertheless, some good tips from a well-regarded base runner and leadoff hitter for the Ottawa Lynx, Peter Bergeron. And he knows his stuff when it comes to running the bases, having been the leadoff hitter for the Expos. We move to the bottom of the 6th inning. 13 in a row have been retired by Irabu, and the Lynx are leading at 8-1, and they will send Henry Mateo, Brad Wilkerson, and Mark Smith to the plate. So I take it that of the 2 players who have hit 400 home runs and are not in the Hall of Fame, that neither one of them is somebody who has retired so recently that they are not yet eligible for the Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
is that right?
There's 2 players that have hit 400 home runs and are eligible
who are not in.
Who are not in at this time.
Keith Evans has started to throw in the Ottawa bullpen. There's a called strike to Mateo. Lynx have out-hit Columbus 10-3 in this game. There's called strike 3 to Mateo. 3 strikeouts now for Mike Bertoti. And Wilkerson will come to the plate. Brad with a 2-run home run to account for runs 7 and 8 for the Lynx in the 4th inning. Well, I'm going to have to ask some questions.
Oh, about the trivia question, yes. Fire away.
Can you pinpoint in any way the timing of these players' careers? Or is that going to be too much of a clue?
That will be too much of a clue, but I will say these 2 players would have played against each other, or maybe not against each other, but we're in the same era.
They were in the same era?
Yeah, they would have crossed their paths.
Ground ball, right side, fielded by Bridges at second. And Brad Wilkerson is out number 2. And that's the first time Wilkerson has been retired tonight. Along with the home run, he has a single and a walk. Here comes Mark Smith with 2 down and the bases empty. Well, that actually doesn't help me a whole lot because I don't know who either of them is, so knowing that they played at the same time doesn't really narrow it down for me. Outside for ball 1 to Mark Smith.
Mark Smith currently leading the Ottawa Lynx with 6 home runs, but hasn't hit a long ball in 10 games. So it's kind of been a streaky season for Mark Smith in the home run department. In fact, if you look at Mark Smith's home runs this year, he hit 6 home runs in an 8-game span back in late April, early May. And other than that, he went 19 games to start the season without hitting a home run, then hit 6 home runs in 8 games, and now has gone 10 games without hitting a home run. So very streaky at the plate for Mark Smith.
2 balls and a strike now. Okay, you're going to have to give me some clues.
Clues.
High and outside, 3-1.
I will say these players are post 1960.
Meaning their entire careers were post 1960?
Yes.
Mark Smith draws a walk.
Hey, so Mark Smith kind of hesitate because that was a close pitch. A 2-out walk here, and Talmadge Nunari, who had a big hit back in the first inning, comes up to the plate for Ottawa.
Nunari with a 2-run double in the first. That gave Ottawa the lead, which they have yet to relinquish. Smith not being held on at first base. Off-speed pitch high and into Nunari for ball 1.
Smith is one of the few guys on the Ottawa team that's not really a threat to run the bases.
Is George Foster one of them?
George Foster is incorrect.
Mark Smith has 4 steals this year. He's been caught just once.
Well, I take it back. Mark Smith is a big threat to run.
Not right now, though, because he is having a conversation with Ottavina over at first. Certainly not with an 8-1 lead, I don't think. 3-0 to Nunari. There's a strike. Bertodi battling back, and the count is now full 3-2 to Talmadge Nunari. So Smith will be off and running with 2 away. And it's foul tipped into the catcher's glove for strike 3. That'll do it for the Lynx in the 6th inning. They strand a runner, and they lead it 8-1 as we go to the 7th.
Police report that last year, the Ottawa region had the highest rate of sexual assault in Canada.
Daddy won't stop hitting Mommy.
On an open-air clothesline, survivors of violence will hang painted T-shirts, which give voice to their pain. We call this the Clothesline Project. The T-shirts are to protest violence against women and children. The Clothesline has a powerful story to tell. Support the Clothesline Project. Let the healing begin.
Are you and your family web aware? The Media Awareness Network helps parents understand the issues children face when they go online. Our website puts your web awareness to the test, helping you become a safe, wise, and responsible internet user. Sure, there's lots of cool stuff on the web, and surfing can be fun. Rules are needed to protect your kids. Take a minute and visit media-awareness.ca to make the most of your internet connection.
The cellular communications for this production are provided by Rogers AT&T Wireless. Rogers AT&T Wireless proudly supports community television because local matters.
8-1 Ottawa leading as we move to the 7th inning at Jet Forum Park, and joining Ian and me in the broadcast booth is the general manager of the Ottawa Lynx, Kyle Bostwick. Welcome, Kyle.
Well, good afternoon.
I believe it's now the evening.
Well, you know, it's been one of those days. We're not counting the 2 hours where it rained. So.
Oh, that's good. Okay. You should never count those hours at a ballpark.
Turned into quite a night.
Yeah, it's been a very pleasant night, actually.
Yeah.
And a little bit of drizzle at the start of the game, but there hasn't been any precipitation since, and Hideki Arabu is having quite a night.
Well, yeah, and Brad Wilkerson and Jamie Carroll, a lot of guys. Good night all around.
We wanted to have Kyle along for our first telecast to talk about some of the changes that have been made in the off-season, and this is the first full season for the new administration, as we've talked about, and we've listed some of the things that have been changed, Kyle, including the fact that there are new uniforms, a new mascot. What are some of the things that that you would like to emphasize to Lynx fans as you talk to them about some of the new things that that you are doing with this ball club?
Well, I think a lot of the things that we're doing centers around customer service and entertainment. What we'd like to do is we'd like to try to provide a venue and an event that people are going to enjoy coming out to, and people are going to feel welcome, and people are going to be entertained to come out at. We've done quite a few things.
Shane Spencer hits that one deep to left. Wilkerson is going back to the warning track, and it's gone. It's a home run for Shane Spencer.
Well, obviously, I'm a whole heck of a lot of luck here. This is fun. We should have this more often.
That didn't take very long. Arabu had retired 13 in a row before Kyle Bostwick arrived in the broadcast booth, and now gives up the solo home run to Spencer, and we'll take another look.
Please.
The pitch that Arabu left up in the strike zone, and his former teammate with the Yankees, Shane Spencer, took that pitch, and you see Brad Wilkerson giving it the old courtesy chase out in left field, and Hideki Arabu's string of 13 straight is gone.
My compliments to everybody also. Yeah, this is an incredible production today. This is the new graphics, everything. This is fantastic. So kudos to everyone involved with this broadcast so far. This is nice.
Well, on behalf of the crew and our producer Karen McGee, thank you very much.
Awesome.
Do you like that cat noise as we go in and out of the highlights?
It's our moniker, so to speak. Now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're pretty excited about the year. Right now, obviously with April and May, we're every game you want to see huge crowds, but we've got to we're also realists. We've also got to understand that people will probably come out in bigger numbers when the weather gets nicer. But so we're practicing, so to speak, making sure that when these crowds come, we'll be all set.
That's fouled off out of play. 1-2 on Henry Rodriguez. Obviously, the bulk of the season, the sweet spot in the season, is going to be June, July, and August for you in terms of trying to attract lots of fans. Is that not right?
Yeah, without question. If you look at our promotional schedule, we've got a lot of event days, a lot of theme days that are centered around those months. We don't have a lot of individual theme nights going on in April and May, and that's by design. We're waiting for the weather to get a little bit better, but we've been very excited about the positive comments that have come from people coming to games right now. The fact that they walk into the ballpark, and what we're getting a sense that people really feel a different atmosphere, and they feel welcome, and that's really what we're trying to be doing right now.
One of the changes you've made this year, Kyle.
Diving stop by Mateo. The throw to first is in time, and that is a great play by Henry Mateo for out number 2 here in the 7th inning.
Heck of a play by Henry Mateo to range to his left and make that play, and Rob, a sure base hit away from Henry Rodriguez. I'm sure we're going to see a replay of that. Just a one hopper to the right side, and Mateo fully extended to his left, makes a great play, and has plenty of time to get up and throw Rodriguez out at first.
Boy, he's turned into quite an exciting ball player to watch. Huh? He's just, that triple was amazing. Just showed his speed. Stand-up triple, amazing.
There's a called strike to Scott Seabold. And that play, Mateo almost diving away from home plate as much as he was diving to his left. He was going towards the outfield on that play. So 1 away and a 1-1 count for Scott Seaball.
Well, before the spectacular play at second base, I was mentioning one of the positive things I think I've heard is that you guys are now involved with Ticketmaster. And I think that makes a big difference because before, tickets with the Lynx were only accessible here at the ballpark, and I think now people can get them online or at any Ticketmaster outlet. And I think that's a step in the right direction because I think I've heard quite a few people comment that now they can get tickets through Ticketmaster.
It's made life easier for a lot of people. We don't have a lot of advanced sales right now, and hopefully as we go on every year, we'll have more and more advanced sales. But right now and in past years, there haven't been a lot of advanced sales. So what would happen would a nice sunny day would be here or a nice night, and next thing you know, you'd be stuck in line for almost an hour because of the walk-up traffic. And what this does is this allows the people that might live in some outlying areas to call up and get in touch with their local Ticketmaster location, pick up their tickets, and get here at their convenience and just enter the ballpark and not have to worry about any lines that might occur.
2 balls and 2 strikes on Scott Seaball.
Now you got to comment there, Ian. You got to
comment on what? The poor guy just slipped a little bit.
The one time we're showing the ball boy.
Yeah, exactly. So big win today for our 67s also.
Yes.
Nice night for Ottawa all the way around.
Yeah, 5-2 win for the 67s over the Regina Pats to open the Memorial Cup, and they fell behind 2-0 in that game, so they really battled back.
We're having a brunch at the ballpark Monday. Monday is a rare 11:35 in the morning start. We're pretty excited about that. We're going to be offering brunch to people here coming in, $9.95 for adults, $4.95 for kids, and all of a sudden I sound like an infomercial here. But
what does that include, Kyle?
and what do you mean all of a sudden?
Well, today only you can get this 87 Mustang, but no, I'm just kidding. Yeah, but the other, we've got a guest omelet chef in an omelet bar, and hey, we're here to talk about the advance.
I have to say, this is the 9th year that I have been doing the Lynx games on Rogers Television, and I believe that's the first time that the word omelet has appeared on any of our telecasts. This is an historic occasion.
Oh, I have egg on my face now.
There's a look at Anthony Telford getting loose in the Ottawa bullpen. So I would imagine this would be Hideki Arabu's last inning. This
you would think,
being the 7th inning.
Pitching very well. But I guess I just wanted to outline some of the things that we're excited about having here in the future, and I didn't necessarily mean to turn it into it.
Nevertheless, you must be happy with some of the early results, even though the numbers are not as big as you're going to want them to be in June, July, and August. Earlier in the month, you had back-to-back crowds of 3,000. That must have been an encouraging sign because that's not something that has happened this early in the season in the past 3 seasons.
Well, our focus this year hasn't been on an overall attendance. Like, people ask, what's the number that you want to average per game, and what's the number that you want to reach, and it really hasn't been that. Our focus is event-driven, and we really would like to have, we'd like to show improvement in a lot of areas. The fact that we drew 3,000 on consecutive days in May for the first time since 1998, that's a positive for us. That's not going to make all of a sudden our overall attendance skyward over the 400,000, but it's a sign. And it's taken a while for this team to kind of lose its luster from the 600 and some odd thousand people that were here the first year.
There's a base hit into right field for Paul Otavina.
So it's also going to take more than a few weeks for this to turn around. We're in this for the long haul. Our goal this year is to have a few dates that we can really be proud of. A couple dates, 5, 6, 7, 8 dates of over 7,500 people, and that's really our focus. We're going to have some of these lighter crowds in April and May, and we may even have quite a couple in June or July. It's the event dates that we're really focusing on.
Here comes Randy St. Clair to have a conversation with Arabu. 2 pitchers warming up in the Ottawa bullpen now, along with Anthony Telford, Robert Marquez.
Marquez has been solid for the Lynx since rejoining them back in early May. He's 2-0, and his ERA is, I think it's under 1 in 6 appearances with the Lynx. So Robert Marquez is giving that bullpen a bit of shot in the arm. And speaking of the bullpen, and one of the things we touched on earlier in the broadcast was how when you guys decided to re-sign with the Expos, the commitment for that from their standpoint to send you guys some top level talent in the minor leagues. And even though you know, we've seen Curtis Pride, Ryan Miner, and Bob Scanlon go up, what's your feeling on what the Expos have provided you this year?
Oh, we're very happy. And obviously, AAA baseball, minor league baseball, there's not an organization that doesn't see people leave. If you look at transactions, and everybody talks about the fact that we had over 130 last year, but what people don't realize is that Buffalo had 150. The difference is, you know, you're going to have transaction. It's what the transaction happens as far as both sides is the important thing. Fernando Tatis goes down. Well, you're going to see someone like a Ryan Miner go up to take that person's place. That's always going to be the nature of the beast. Now, if we can get Ryan Miner replaced with, you know, with better talent than maybe has in the past years, then that's going to be important to us, and that's where we're not going to miss a beat. And I think that for the first time in a long time, Montreal's really made a commitment to their AAA ball club, and we're very happy with what's been going on.
A ball and 2 strikes to Eric Almont with the runner at first and 2 down. And the runner goes. And Schneider will not make a throw. It's a breaking pitch outside, 2-2.
Montreal's made a lot of, they put a lot of emphasis on trying to turn this around at the major league level. And if you look, you've got some guys in some key positions that are solid, the guys that are there for a while. Obviously, Fernando Tatis is injured right now, but with him in the lineup, you've got him, you've got Vidro at second, you've got Guerrero in right, and then you've got you know, Milton in center or in left. Either way, he's an outfield spot.
Jamie Carroll making the throw to first, and that'll do it for the Clippers in the top of the 7th inning. We head to the 7th inning stretch, 8-2 Ottawa.
So, John, what other great celebrities do you think we'll get here on Daytime?
You'll have to tune in to find out.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Bannerman. Each week, Ottawa Uncut takes a look at one of the many public affairs events taking place in the National Capital Region. For extensive event coverage, watch Ottawa Uncut on Rogers Television.
There's an easier way to find what you're looking for on Swap Shop, Monday nights at 7 on Rogers Television.
Hi, I'm Maureen.
And I'm Stuntman Stu.
And we are your hosts for The Ticket, and you should watch us because...
We are Ottawa's only 30-minute arts magazine, which includes music, entertainment, you name it, we'll have it for you.
He said it.
And the 7th inning stretch is brought to you by Lorenzo's Pizzeria. Give them a call at 737-3737. Lorenzo's Pizzeria, a proud sponsor of Ottawa Lynx baseball on Rogers Television, and also the provider of the pregame meal for the crew here tonight at
Not just the crew.
Not just the crew. Well, we're part of the crew.
I guess. It's usually the production crew.
Yeah.
That do all the work, and we just show up.
But just show up for a slice of pizza.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kyle Bostwick, the general manager of the Ottawa Lynx, is with us here as the Lynx lead at 8-2, and Hideki Arabu having a pretty good night. Retired 13 in a row before giving up a solo home run to Shane Spencer, and allowed just 5 hits through 7 innings. So sign that things are coming together again for Hideki Arabu. And that's 2 straight strong outings on this rehabilitation stint with the Ottawa Lynx. So, Ian, before Kyle got here, you were asking me a second trivia question because I got the first one.
So quickly.
And so why don't we try it out on Kyle?
All right, Kyle, you're in the hot seat.
All right.
We were talking about Jose Canseco and whether or not he's got 400-plus career home runs, and the merits of Jose Canseco making or being enshrined in the Hall of Fame. And the question is, there's only 2 players in baseball history that are eligible for the Hall of Fame that have hit 400 career home runs but are not in the Hall of Fame.
Dave Kingman.
Dave Kingman, yes.
And
Schneider out on the ground ball to second.
And this is great to have me sit here and think about it with the dead air. That's good TV right now. I don't know. I'm not sure. Jim Rice?
Nope, not Jim Rice.
Jim Rice doesn't have 400 home runs.
I think he's around 370.
Oh, I forgot that one year he took off.
Yeah, the war. Jim Rice.
That's right.
I was thinking he would have hit 400.
Dan McKinley 0 for 3. He has struck out 3 times.
So are you going to let me know what the answer is? Is this?
Well, Mark was kind of our shtick is we work on it. We don't just blurt out the answer.
Yeah,
right, okay.
You're allowed to ask questions. So the other guy, McKinley, gets good wood on this one and hits it to left. Shane Spencer puts it away. McKinley out. And that's out number 2 in the 7th.
Obviously, I'm here for one more out, so I'd like to apologize right now for taking this down a notch as far as professionalism is concerned. You guys worked very hard to make this
I think it was 2 or 3 notches.
But I want to thank both of you and everyone, Rogers Television, for continued support. We're excited about the season. We're excited about all the games that you guys are covering. And if you come on out to the game and you want to watch the game, we've got the TVs in the restaurant, we've got the TVs in the suites, and we've got the TV on the concourse.
That's right. That's a new thing that you've added this year, that if you are, while the game is in progress, going out to get some food or something to drink, and the game is televised that day, you'll be able to keep track of what's going on in the game as you're lining up and ordering food.
Above 3 of our concession stands, yeah.
That's great. 0-1 to Jamie Carroll. You won't be able to hear Ian and me, though, because the televisions are enclosed in soundproof boxes.
Yes, by design, yes.
Nothing in 2 on Jamie Carroll. So I think, Ian, you're just going to have to tell us who the other one is.
The other player is Darrell Evans.
Darrell Evans.
Oh. So Columbus comes into town with a very, very impressive looking lineup on paper. This is amazing, just to see this team that started out 0-8, and now the fact that they've got some of their Yankee guns, so to speak. This is a very, very good team, a lot better than their record even indicates. The fact that they've gone 23-10 since that 0-8 start is pretty impressive. So for the Lynx to take it to them tonight is.
Yeah, and for the next 3 games, the game tomorrow afternoon at 2, the 11:30 start on Monday, and the 7:05 start on Tuesday night, a chance for Lynx fans to come out and see former Yankees playoff hero Shane Spencer and former Expo Henry Rodriguez, among others.
And a couple of good Yankee prospects not in the lineup tonight. Nick Johnson, who everybody thinks will be the heir apparent to Tino Martinez up in New York, and D'Angelo Jimenez, the fine shortstop. Both those guys not in the Columbus lineup tonight, but I'm sure Lynx fans will have a chance to see them during this homestand.
Popped up by Carroll, and putting the glove on it is Ottavina, rather. We go to the 8th. Thanks, Kyle.
Rogers Cable is the core of your community. We're there for local events and sports with programming that appeals to you. We also support community fundraisers and charities. And our Pumpkin Patrol helps keep kids safe on Halloween night in your neighborhood. Rogers Cable, because local matters. How do you like them apples?
You'll hear from the movers and shakers of provincial politics on Voice of the Province. But more importantly, you'll talk to them, and most importantly, they'll listen.
Hey, Mahler, when's the last time you saw one of them good countdown shows?
Well, Rush, I would have to say probably recently on Rogers Television, the XFM New Rock 22. Does that count?
Yeah, but probably it's only good because you and I host it.
I want to thank Kyle Bostwick, the general manager of the Ottawa Lynx, for being our guest in the 7th inning tonight at Jet Forum Park. And certainly wish Kyle and his team the best of luck as they continue to rebuild the fan base here in Ottawa and rejuvenate AAA baseball in the nation's capital. It's off to a good start this year. The Lynx are performing well on the field, and they're starting to get some encouraging signs at the box office as the numbers have started to grow again. And I think the pendulum is swinging now in the other direction after some lean years for the Ottawa Lynx in the final years of the ownership of Howard Darwin, when the team was not playing well on the field, was in last place almost every season, and when fewer and fewer people were coming out. It seems like things are moving in a different direction now for the Lynx.
Yeah, and that's one thing I think Kyle knows. He can't control the on-field product of the Lynx, but that is certainly a great drawing card for the baseball fans in Ottawa, and the fact that, you know, a win tonight puts them 8 games over 500, and that's a real step in the right direction for this franchise.
Anthony Telford is the new pitcher for the Ottawa Lynx, and he delivers a strike to Pascual Matos.
Anthony Telford went 5-4 with a 3.79 ERA in 64 games in Montreal last year, and was sent down to Ottawa earlier this month.
Hideki Irabu going 7 innings in his second AAA start. 5 hits, 2 earned runs. He walked a batter, hit another, and struck out 5. Giving up just the walk in the first inning that came around to score, and the solo home run for Shane Spencer in the 7th inning. Those accounting for the 2 runs, and doesn't get much better than that for Hideki Irabu on this rehab stint with the Ottawa Lynx.
I'm sure the brass up in Montreal is going to take a look at this report tomorrow, and they'll be very pleased because, as you know, the Expos and pretty much every team in Major League Baseball can really use another pitcher, especially a guy that's as talented as Hideki Irabu. So good news for the Expos there after Irabu's performance tonight.
Matos reaches for this one and just bloops it out into right field for a base hit. A good piece of hitting with a 1-2 count against him. So it's a leadoff walk. Rather a leadoff single for Pascual Matos facing Anthony Telford.
Yeah, very nice piece of hitting with 2 strikes on him. Earlier today we saw Henry Mateo with 2 strikes on him go the other way and just drop one into left field, and there we saw Pascual Matos do the same thing, go the other way and just drop it into right field.
Donzel McDonald, the batter, 0 for 2 with the walk. And he takes a strike. You mentioned that Kyle Bostwick and the Lynx front office can't control the on-the-field product, but one thing that you have to give them credit for is the fact that they did raise some concerns with the Montreal Expos before renewing their franchise agreement with the Expos. They made it clear that unless Montreal made a commitment to put better players at the AAA level and support the on-the-field product at the AAA level, that the Lynx were going to have to consider aligning themselves with another Major League organization. And I think that while they can't control it much beyond that, that was an important move for the Lynx. And you have to give Ray Pecor and Kyle Bostwick credit for doing that before they did sign the deal with the Expos, because it has made a difference, and the result has been that the Expos have signed some minor league free agents and strengthened this ball club, not just to help them and have more players in reserve in case of injury in Montreal, but also to help stimulate some interest and create a winning team here in Ottawa. There's ball 4 to McDonald. So very quickly, 2 base runners here for the Clippers in the 8th inning.
Well, Anthony Telford didn't miss by much on that pitch to Donzel McDonald. It probably was just a little bit low. So, as you mentioned, a little bit of trouble here for Anthony Telford. A couple of runners on now for Kerry Bridges.
Bridges 1 out of 3 with a single in the first inning. And Brian Schneider will go talk to Anthony Telford.
Well, that's a good point you brought up, though. I don't think it was an idle threat at all on the part of Ray Pecor and Kyle Bostwick. I think they really wanted to make sure that the Major League affiliation they had was best suited for their needs. And whether that was the Montreal Expos, a lot of people obviously would say, well, the geographical proximity to Montreal therefore makes Montreal your best bet for a Major League affiliation. But I think Kyle and Ray we really wanted to make sure that Montreal was going to provide them with the top talent that they could. And that was a good thing, because I think people here are big Expos fans, and I think they still appreciate the fact that there's that connection between the two cities. But at the same time, they made it known that, look, we're going to have a little more talent here at our level, so we can have guys like Ryan Miner and Curtis Pride and Bob Scanlon come down here.
1-1 to Kerry Bridges. And he looks at a strike. Nobody out, runners at first and second. And it's in the dirt and nicely blocked by Brian Schneider.
Another thing we maybe should have asked Kyle about, or I'm sure we can ask him on a future telecast, is their association with the Ottawa 67s has actually grown quite a bit. You take a look at the outfield wall in right field, you'll see a Ottawa 67s logo. And earlier this year, the Lynx actually introduced their mascot, Scratch, at a 67s game. And I think Kyle and Ray understand that that's the same market, that's the demographic they're going after. So I think that's another step in the right direction for the Ottawa Lynx.
Kerry Bridges goes fishing after a bad pitch and strikes out, and that's not normal for Kerry Bridges. He's normally a very patient hitter at the plate, but went after a high breaking pitch there, and he strikes out.
Yeah, not something you see often from a guy like Kerry Bridges. You mentioned a good contact hitter, and there's a big looping curveball, and that was definitely up in the strike zone. And he just swung over top of it for the first out here in the 8th inning.
Called strike, 1-1 to Mike Frank. One away, first and second. Lynx leading at 8-2. It's worth mentioning that both Kyle and Ray Pecor, the owner of the Ottawa Lynx, have made it clear that this is by no means a make it or break it year for the Ottawa Lynx. They fully understand that it is going to take a couple of seasons at least to really reestablish the fan base that was here in the past and really turn this organization around. So it's not as though there is some magic number this year for attendance, which the Lynx have to meet in order to maintain the franchise. Base hit into right field, and they hold the runner at third base, so the bases are loaded now with one away in the 8th inning. It's not going to be that kind of season where everybody's going to be watching the attendance numbers and wondering what the outcome will be at the end of the year. Ray Pecor has made it clear that he is here to stay for several years, and that Kyle Bostwick has lots of time with his team to really turn things around and turn this into a successful and profitable franchise the way it was early on when AAA baseball returned to Ottawa in the early 90s. Shane Spencer at the plate with a solo home run in this game, and now up with the bases loaded, and he takes a strike.
Anthony Telford certainly in some trouble here in the 8th inning, and in fact Robert Marquez has begun throwing once again down in the Ottawa bullpen. So Telford into some serious trouble. As you mentioned, Spencer's a guy who hit a home run last inning, so 6-run lead in a bases loaded situation, you want to be extra careful.
Telford gets ahead 0-2 on Shane Spencer. Lynx infield looking for the double play ball. The 0-2 pitch chopped on the ground and foul. There's a swing and a miss for strike 3. Shane Spencer goes down on strikes with the bases loaded. It's the second strikeout of the inning for Telford, and he gets a big out.
Well, it's the second time this inning Anthony Telford's got somebody on the curveball. This time it's to a right-handed hitter, and he throws it low and away, and Shane Spencer just goes fishing for that one. A very big out for Anthony Telford, because now the defense can relax and move out at double play depth. with 2 away here in the 8th inning.
Henry Rodriguez, the batter, swings and chops it on the ground foul. Strike 1 to Rodriguez, who is 0 for 3. When you have the bases loaded and fewer than 2 outs in an inning, you want to either get the ground ball for the double play or the strikeout. Because if the ball gets put in play in such a way that you cannot turn 2, then chances are you're going to give up a run unless it's a pop-up. So that was a big strikeout. There's a ground ball and a play at second for Mateo. Rodriguez is retired, and the Lynx get out of a bases-loaded jam in the 8th inning. 3 runners left on for the Clippers.
Ottawa's Cultural Window opens to Polish Review and Deutsches Panorama this Sunday from 11 a.m. until 12 p.m.
Tries to put it around the boards, picked off by Jarrett, centered in front. Ottawa can't get rope, bounce off the leg. Whalers. The Ottawa 67 wins the 2001 OHL Championship.
Hi, I'm Erin Davis. We talk about your body and your soul and wellness on the whole. Interesting people with stories that'll touch you or make you laugh. I know there aren't enough hours in the day, so I'm just asking for half of one. Join me, won't you?
Bottom of the 8th inning from Jetform Park. Mark Sutcliffe along with Ian Mendez, and it is 8-2 for the Ottawa Lynx. The Lynx with 10 hits in the game to just 7 for the Clippers, 5 of them against starting pitcher Hideki Arabu, who went 7 innings and gave up just 2 earned runs. He walked 1, hit a batter, and struck out 5, and Arabu pitching well in this rehabilitation assignment with the Ottawa Lynx. He came in having allowed just 2 runs in 6 innings in his last outing and allows 2 runs in 7 innings in this outing. So Arabu working his way back into Major League form, and that's a positive sign for the Expos because, as you mentioned, just about any team in the majors can afford to have another strong pitcher, and the Expos are no exception.
New pitcher into the game for the Columbus Clippers, 26-year-old right-handed pitcher Brandon Reed. There you get a good look at the righty.
And Brandon Reed will face Scott Zeck, Peter Bergeron, and Henry Mateo.
There are the numbers on Brandon Reed: 1 win and 2 losses and a 4.43 ERA.
And Scott Zeck now hitting .500 since the call-up from Harrisburg. Has a pair of hits in this game to go with a sacrifice bunt. A ball and a strike to Scott Zeck. The Lynx and the Clippers split their 4-game series in Columbus last week, and Ottawa also got a split in a 4-game series in Toledo. They went 4-4 on the road trip. And following that 8-game road trip, they now have an 8-game homestand. 4 games against the Clippers and then 4 games against the Durham Bulls. Two and 2 to Scott Zeck. Teddy Rose, the right-hander, will throw for Ottawa tomorrow afternoon at 2:05. Zeck swings and misses for strike 3. 1 away in the 8th inning.
Ted Rose is throwing for the Lynx tomorrow. It's been one of their solid starting pitchers. They've had the good fortune of having Matt Blank have a solid start to the year, Ted Rose and Troy Mattis. All 3 of those guys are off to excellent starts in the starting rotation for the Lynx. And Bobby Munoz, if you take out, he had 1 bad outing in April. If you take that out of the equation, he's also been a very effective starter for Stan Huff this season.
Peter Bergeron, 1 out of 4. Doubled and scored in the 4th inning. Has also grounded out twice and struck out. And a sign of how the Lynx have been able to get not only good pitching but timely hitting, the fact that their everyday leadoff hitter is not even hitting 200. And how many ball clubs can be 7 or 8 games over 500 when their leadoff hitter is not getting on base as often as you'd like him to?
And not only is the leadoff guy not getting on, we mentioned nobody hitting even close to 300, but even Henry Mateo, a guy who leads the IL with 12 stolen bases, he's only hitting 228. So the top 2 guys in your order are not hitting that much higher than, 200 on average. So they're definitely not getting the job done in that regard. But the Ottawa Lynx, once they're on the base paths, as we mentioned, 61 stolen bases as a team this year, and just doing the little things right to move the runners over and score those runs.
Bergeron out on the ground ball to second, and that will bring up Henry Mateo. Mateo 2 for 4 in this game. Singled in a pair of runs in the 4th inning and then scored on the home run by Brad Wilkerson. So he's raised his average to 235. Looks at a breaking pitch for a strike. One and one to Mateo. Gets a piece of that one at the plate. A 3-run first inning and a 5-run 4th inning for the Lynx. Pretty much since then, the Lynx bats have been silent, though. They have not had a hit since the 5th inning, as Mateo is retired on the ground ball the first. It's a 3-up, 3-down inning for the Lynx in the 8th. We go to the 9th at Jetform Park. Ottawa leads it 8-2, and we'll be right back.
Rogers Cable proudly supports Child Find in their search for missing children across the country. If you have information about this child or any other missing child, please contact Child Find at 1-800-387-7962.
7 people are making choices to change their lives forever. Maybe it will make you want to change yours too. The 12-week program, only on Rogers Television.
Here we go to the 9th inning at Jetform Park in Ottawa, with the Lynx hanging on to an 8-2 lead over the visiting Columbus Clippers as Ottawa opens up an 8-game homestand. Hideki Arabu, the starting pitcher for Ottawa, went 7 innings, allowing just 5 hits and 2 earned runs. He retired 13 in a row from the final 2 outs of the 2nd inning through to the 6th inning before giving up a solo home run to Shane Spencer leading off the 7th. And Arabu, after a shaky first inning, really did have command of this ball game, starting with that double play ball in the 2nd.
Yeah, that really turned the tide for Hideki Arabu once he got that double play ball. That started the string where he retired 13 guys in a row, and save for that home run pitch to Shane Spencer. He had an excellent night after that. So excellent outing by Hideki Arabu, and I think that's everything that Randy St. Clair and Stan Huff would have wanted out of him tonight.
First pitch from Anthony Telford, hit by Scott Siebel into left field, and Brad Wilkerson puts it away for out number 1. 1 down in the 9th inning. That'll bring up Paul Ottavina. Ottavina is 2 for 3 in this game. The only member of the Clippers to, well, actually Mike Frank has a pair of hits as well. So 2 players have 2 hits apiece, Ottavina and Mike Frank. And each of them, among their hits, had an infield hit. There's a called strike, 1-1. Swing and a miss on a breaking pitch, and Telford really has that pitch working for him when he needs it in this late part of the ball game. Struck out Kerry Bridges with that pitch, and also Shane Spencer. There's a ground ball, and past a diving Nunari down into the right field corner. Ottavina with his 3rd hit of the night, and it's a double with 1 out here in the 9th inning. Late in a ball game, you generally guard the lines, and Nunari was guarding the line, but this one just snuck past him.
Yeah, this ball really hugged the first base line. It's a fastball on the inside part of the hands of Ottavina, and as you can see there, Nunari, it's an excellent effort, but unable to come up with the ball, and a 1-out double for Ottavina. That'll bring up the shortstop, Eric Almont.
If Nunari were a right-handed throwing first baseman, he might have gotten the left glove on that. But since he's left-handed, he had to attempt to backhand that one and wasn't able to. There's a swing and a miss by Eric Almont for strike 1. The Lynx won't pay too much attention to Ottavina at second base with a 6-run lead here in the 9th inning. There's a comebacker. Telford will go to first base. He did think about going to third with Ottavina running, but as mentioned, when you have a 6-run lead, you don't worry too much about one base run. You worry about getting the outs when you can.
Yeah, chopper right back to the mound, and as you'll see here, hits near the home plate area. Telford with a look to the runner at second base. They're headed to third, Ottavina. But with that runner having no value at all, he decides to get the sure out over at first base, and now he's put his ball club in a position to be 1 out away from win number 26 this season.
Pascual Matos, the number 9 hitter to the plate. He is 1 for 3. There's a breaking pitch and a ground ball foul. With the win, the Lynx will go 8 games above 500. And that's the most they've ever been above 500. It's happened a couple of times this year, but never before this season. Lynx were 21-13. They were 24-16. Gets away from Brian Schneider, but the runner will hold up. So twice already they have been 8 games above 500. But never in club history have they been 9 games above 500. If they win tonight's game, they'll have a chance to go for that 9 games above 500 tomorrow afternoon at Jet Form Park. A ball and 2 strikes on Pascual Matos with the runner at third, 2 down, 9th inning. Telford delivers, and it's just outside for ball 2. Matos just got a piece of that one. Telford going with that curveball that has been his out pitch on a couple of strikeouts so far in this outing tonight. And Matos just got a piece of it to stay alive at 2-2. The pitch. Swung on and missed for strike 3. Telford strikes out Matos. Just the one hit in the inning. One runner left on base, and the Lynx win the ball game 8-2. We'll have more when we come back on Rogers Television.
Telelatino presents the Copa America 2001. The Copa America features the best of South American soccer and is considered one of the most exciting tournaments in the world. Brazil is the reigning champion, having won the tournament back-to-back in 1997 and 1999. 11 other nations will work to unseat Brazil. Telelatino will have complete coverage.
Rogers Cable proudly supports Child Find in their search for missing children across the country. If you have information about this child or any other missing child, please contact Child Find at 1-800-387-7962.
Rogers thanks you for choosing Rogers Cable. To better serve you, we offer a variety of convenient bill payment options. Choose the option that best suits your needs. Through internet banking, by pre-authorized checking or credit card withdrawals, by mail, or at your neighborhood Rogers Video Store. It's your choice.
Police report that last year, the Ottawa region had the highest rate of sexual...
I'm Stunt Van Stu. Coming up this week on The Ticket, we'll find out what was going on at the Bytown Cinema with the Sound of Music. And all about the Tulip Festival here at Majors Hill Park. This week on The Ticket. One of the things you can expect to see here at this year's Tulip Festival, as it is every year, is great music. And joining me now is the Shira Ottawa Choir. And with me is cantor Daniel Ben-Lolo. What is your choir going to sing for us?
Well, we're going to sing Hine Matov Umanaim, how wonderful it is to be together. And since we just opened up the festival, I think it's a great opportunity for us to sing along. And put your two lips together and sing with us.
This is the Shira Ottawa Choir.
הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים.
Meals for the production crew are provided by Lorenzo's Pizzeria, 737-3737. Lorenzo's Pizzeria, a proud sponsor of Rogers Television.
Having a bit of a technical problem here because you've lost your earpiece.
Yeah,
but
I'm a rookie at this, so I'll go without the earpiece.
That's the way it goes. Mark Sutcliffe and Ian Mendez back from Jet Form Park, where the Lynx have picked up an 8-2 win over the Columbus Clippers. And we're very pleased to have with us Brad Wilkerson, whose two-run home run was a key blow for the Lynx. Brad, we welcome you to Ottawa Lynx Baseball on Rogers Television. Thanks for joining us.
I appreciate you having me.
So tell us about the home run. Tell us about the pitch. And it was I think you might have gotten under it a little bit. Were you concerned that it might have been a fly ball out?
Yeah, I felt like I was just trying to go the other way on the lefty, as always, and he gave me a ball over the middle of the plate, and I just drove it the other way and just stayed back on it.
Were you surprised that the wind took that one out?
Yeah, it is very surprising. Sometimes the balls don't get out here as much as we can, but it's just going up there and trying to drive the ball hard every time, and luckily the wind took it out for me.
Tell me how your shoulder is doing after having started the year on the disabled list.
Well, it's doing a lot better. I mean, slowly but surely coming back. This is the second time I played the outfield, and probably going to play back-to-back days starting tomorrow. And I'm just excited to be back on the field and winning some games.
Brad, what's the atmosphere like with this ball club? I know when you joined the club partway through the 2000 season, the team was struggling a little bit. This year you come to a team that's winning. What's the attitude like on the club?
Well, it's just we got some great leaders on the team, signing some free agents and some older guys, great leaders for us young guys to look up to, and it's just a great atmosphere when you win games, and it's just a lot of, oh my God.
Oh my. They got you with the pie.
Is that good atmosphere for you?
You were just talking about what a great atmosphere it was on the ball club, and
who was that anyway?
I don't know who that was.
Oh my God.
Don't worry, Brad, we got it on tape.
It was the trainer, Sean Barry. Yeah, we'll have some evidence for you later.
I appreciate it.
So we'll let you go, Brad, since you're going to have some cleaning up to do. But we appreciate you being part of it. Congrats on the home run and also on the gold medal in Sydney. Maybe just before we let you go, we could ask you to tell us what that experience was like.
Well, it was just a great experience being on the team, of course, and just going over there and competing, and then going over there and winning the gold medal for the United States of America. It was just a dream come true. You grow up watching the Olympics, and you just want to go over there and just perform as best you can. And we played well against Cuba and beat them.
All right, thank you, Brad. We appreciate your time.
I appreciate you having me.
All right, and we'll let you get to.
I need to shave this off. I don't know. I wish it was pie. I got some shaving cream in my mouth. I don't know.
Yeah, it would be nicer if it was something sweeter, I guess.
Yeah, but
thanks a lot, Brad.
Thanks for having me.
Good luck tomorrow.
Okay.
Brad
thanks.
Wilkerson, the Ottawa Lynx left fielder who hit a home run tonight, and just as he was talking about the atmosphere on the team, you know, anytime there's a TV camera around, there's a risk of somebody getting hit in the face with some shaving cream. Let's take another look at that, actually. We have a replay.
I believe that is Sean Barrer, the Lynx trainer. Get that in slow motion.